Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. You're welcome to our maiden edition of the Young Carers Planning Conference 2021. I'm so excited, and I'm excited because I know there's a lot packed in for you to take away today. This is an annual conference, and the aim of this conference is to it's like a career mapping planning actually for our youth, with a target audience is from 14 to 18. Those of you that are in the process of selecting whether your GCSE subject or currently in A-level education, or you might be preparing to select the higher education of your choice. So we believe at Cause for Children Limited that early intervention really matters, that the earlier we bring an event like this to you where you can be informed, and it will be better for you because you have a lot of information to guide you and you can make informed decisions about your future. I think it's important that young people actually look ahead. So thank you for joining us. Today we'll be hearing from our young professionals. They'll be the speakers, and we've selected young professionals deliberately because we know that they can speak your language, you can understand them, and they can share the information in a more relaxed, creative, fun way that you can actually absorb and make good sense of. So I want to assure you that you have chosen the right conference to attend this afternoon. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about our organization. Our organization, which is Cause for Children Limited. We are not for profit. Our aim is to continue to empower our youth to thrive, and we do this in many ways. And I'm just going to talk about our services and initiatives as well. In the previous slide, you've seen a slide around Three Little Heroes. One of the, it's an award that we've been running for since 2014, and that is to empower youth, to reward efforts and achievements of young people in the UK. You've seen from that video clip that we showed earlier on some of our events in the past. Last year, we've had to run it online, and we'll probably be doing the same this year as well. A nomination line is going to open on the 1st of August, so be on the lookout for it. Our website is www.truelytohero.com. We also provide training and workshops, and that's what you have before you. We ran quite a number of them. We started in 2018, but last year we actually, because of the COVID pandemic, and a lot of people were indoors, we actually captured a lot of young people. They learned so much about finance, project management. We had a go at coding. There was a lot about communication, leadership program, entrepreneurship program. It was beautiful. And we would continue this. So be on the lookout. Every year we'll be running workshops like this every year. We start from sometime in March and we run it up until June. And then we would have our conference, which is the Young Career Planner Conference in July next year as well. Okay, we believe that I'm hoping that this conference, that you would take a lot from it, because there's so much going on in the world these days, and there's a lot of opportunity out there for you to explore, especially with technology really going really fast. So many things going on, new roles evolving, and that's why we have this conference to give you that information and also to teach you skills. And you'll be hearing from our HR consultant and expert. She'll be talking to you much later, skills that you need to make yourself stand out amongst your peers and before the employer. I want to encourage you, when we ask you to please give us your feedback, please do so. We'll be asking you to go to Slido to do a few things for us there. Please do that, because we need your input to plan our events, our future events. And I also want to encourage you to please visit our social media platform. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, Twitter, we have a YouTube channel. We also have Snapchat. Yes, we are there on Snapchat as well. And we're called, our handle is, you can try Cause for Children, Cause CAUSE 4 children. Or you can try at Truly to Hero Awards. Yeah, both of them would take you there. Okay, so a little bit about me, because you'll probably be wondering who this lady is. My name is Titi Omale, and I'm a graduate in computer science and economics. I also have masters in business administration from Westminster University. I'm a business consultant. I work in the public sector. I work on government projects. I'm an agile project practitioner. I love technology projects. I love event planning. I love that. So I do that aside planning events for people, conferences. I do that. I'm a mom. I've got children of my own, and I'm an author as well. You can see my book there at the top. At the bottom right corner, it's called Liz and Laz and the Secret Codes of the Magnificent Book. It's on Amazon. If you fancy reading a children's book, please go there, go and purchase a book. What else? I am passionate about our young people, especially equipping them to overcome social and educational issues. And one of them is this, that's why I'm really, really excited about this particular program. A summary of what to expect today. So today we will be looking at, I'll be speaking, of course, as the host. We've also got our guest speaker, who is the HR consultant. I'll be introducing her much later. She's going to talk she's going to talk as well. We'll be watching life lessons videos. We've got about 2 of them for you to watch. We will be talking, we'll hear from an intern and how he was able to secure an internship. Of course, I mentioned earlier on, there will be survey to complete. And we will definitely hear from our 5 young professionals, an opportunity for Q&A to ask them questions at the end. And then, because it's a long event, we would have short breaks, 5 minutes break in between. And just like I said earlier on, when you're asked to please give feedback, please support us in doing this. Now I'm going to, before I move on, we're starting first with a video watch. But before we do that, I just want to just tell you quickly about 3 key attributes that I believe you need to set you apart in life, and they will make you unstoppable in achieving your dreams. Now, the first one is the drive. What do I mean by drive? I mean how motivated you are about your future, how motivated you are about your future. You know, you are the captain of your ship. Nobody can steer your ship as good as you can. So you need to do the drive. You need to have that drive. I can't have that drive for you. It's an inner thing. So you need to have a drive. You also need attitude, positive attitude. That's what I'm talking about. When you can, when you have this approach, the can-do approach to things. I can do things. I can. I will always give my extra best to things. That when it comes to your future, there's nothing like I'm going to wing it or I'm just going to do a trial and error. No, it doesn't work like that. We're talking about your future now, so you need to have that attitude, the drive. the attitude, and the confidence. Confidence means not being afraid to take that step forward, not being afraid to hold your hands up and say, yes, let me give it a try. Even though when you look at the journey, it might seem like a long journey to you. The task might seem enormous to you. But if you're confident and you're able to take that step, just that step forward, you can achieve a lot. There's no point being afraid and not being able to being fearful. If you do that, you're not one is not going to go anywhere. Yeah. So you need to be confident. You need to have these key words behind you. I can do it. I have the power to do it. I am capable of doing this thing. I can make it. Speak that to yourself and go for it. Okay. So enough of talking from me, and sorry, enough of talking, and I will be sharing a video with you that I would like you to watch. So bear with me a moment.
DAC, the edge. Olympic gold medal winners have the edge. Serial successful entrepreneurs have the edge. In fact, all consistently successful people have the edge. Otherwise, they wouldn't be successful. Even successful businesses have the edge. So what is the edge and how can you get it? Well, the edge is what multiplies the impact of raw ability, skills, knowledge, and resources many times over, to such an extent that it enables the underdog to beat competition, who, on paper at least, should wipe the floor with them. Psychologists call it DAC, short for drive, attitude, and confidence. Drive is passion, focus, tenacity, and the courage to overcome obstacles and achieve, come what may. Positive attitude is choosing to set high expectations for yourself and your people. It's learning from your mistakes, bouncing back with a "it can be done" mindset, and it's always choosing to be positive and seeing the glass half full, not half empty. Confidence is about self-belief and a can-do, will-do attitude, together with deep self-esteem that you deserve success. Drive, attitude, and confidence. These three things together can make you unstoppable. Now, people and businesses with a strong DAC overcome obstacles that others with more skills, knowledge, experience, and other resources don't. Plus, the energy and enthusiasm that it builds is so infectious that it attracts other like-minded people like bees around a honeypot. DAC on its own can take you a long way, although to be truly successful, you clearly need skills and knowledge too, even if you pick them up along the way. Neuroscientists have known for years that skills and knowledge reside in the outer and most recently developed part of our brain called the neocortex, the bit that makes Homo sapiens different to all other animals. DAC resides in the central oldest part of our brain called the limbic brain. It drives the core functions of emotion, behavior, motivation, and the fright, fight, and flight mechanism. This is what gives DAC such primeval power and impact. Now, in life, even a small initial edge can quickly build into a much bigger one. Let me give you an example. In the UK, 57% of football academy players are born in the last 4 months of the year. Only 14% are born in the summer. Why is that? Well, it's because those born earlier in the academic year, that starts in September, are on average 6 months older than those born later in the academic year. So they're slightly larger, they're slightly more developed, and perhaps slightly more confident. So these children start on the pitch, not on the subs bench. They play the whole match, they get the attention of the coach, and so build their skills and experience faster. The same is also true in academic lessons. This higher skill level, the praise it attracts and the feelings of pride it brings, builds self-confidence, self-esteem, and a can-do positive attitude, all essential ingredients of DAC. Meanwhile, their younger friends have missed out on this vital contribution to DAC and may even have suffered DAC damage. Now, of course, Some younger children will still do exceptionally well, yet statistically, they're at an early disadvantage. This is the power of the edge. Over a period of time, it almost inevitably becomes the edge squared. So a jockey who wins horse races will be sought after by owners of good horses, and so will win even more races. An entrepreneur who makes investors a great return once will be sought after to do it again. So when DAC or DAC squared gets you to the top, you get an even more disproportionate share of rewards. It's simply the maths of success, and why DAC is so important to understand and harness for you, your team, your business, and your family. This video was brought to you by Vic, for you, your team, and your family.
So, yes, you've heard from that video the importance of having those three key attitudes that I've mentioned: the drive, positive attitude, as well as confidence. Okay, so I'm going to, and I hope you've taken that on, so it's not just watching, you're taking notes. Please take these notes, please, please, please. This event that we're bringing to you, some people pay a lot of money to have this, but you're getting it for free, so don't take it for granted. Please take notes of this key points along the line. Now I'm going to introduce our next speaker to you. Yes, our next speaker. I'm so excited about her. She's a very good friend. She's a graduate of BSc Economics as well, and she's got Masters in Human Resources. She's a Chartered Fellow of CIPD. She's a lead consultant at Clarity Port. She loves fitness and cooking. She's a wife. She's a mom. She's got 2 teenage boys, believe it. And she loves to set people up for success in their careers. And I say this because I know some young people, a few actually, that have gone through her program and they're doing very well. So I'm talking about Lola K. Odusoya, the lead consultant at Clarity. Thank you, Lola, and you're welcome. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Titi, for that warm welcome. Thank you, everyone. I want to say thank you to everyone who has taken the time to join the seminar this morning. I know a lot of planning, a lot of effort has gone into putting this session together. So thank you, Titi, for the great job you've done in organizing this session. The fact that you have all made the efforts to attend this session today tells me that you all want to reach your potentials and you want to set yourselves up for success. So well done, great job to every single one of you. You could have taken your time out to be doing something else this morning. So I want to applaud you for that. I have about 15 minutes to get through this. I'm going to really try my best to walk through the slides and make sure you get the most out of the session today. So let's go to the first slide, please. Okay. Thank you. So what is career plan? I am very passionate about careers. And when you're talking about career, it's a journey. It's a journey that we all embark on at one stage of our life. It's a very important topic that is very close to my heart. It's something that you cannot wing or freestyle. You have to be intentional about it. I'm very passionate about career development and do encourage every single person that I meet that they should take their career life seriously. No matter how young you are, it's very important that you take your career life you make it a top priority. Some of the things that we have in our lives, we have a family life, we have a social life. We like to reach out to our friends. We build a network of friendships. We have our Christian lives. There are major parts to us. One of the key parts to us is our career. life. And I want us to take a step back today and take time to make some notes and think through your career. So what I want you to do right now, I want you to imagine going on a journey, because embarking on a career plan is going on a journey. Having a career, it's a journey. So you want to think about, when you're going on a journey, what is the first thing that you do? So think about, you're going away for 3 days to somewhere you've never been to. What is the first thing that comes to your mind? For me, I'll be thinking about, I've got to map out my career, my plan. So if I'm going to Manchester and I've never been there before, am I going by road? Am I going to fly there? Am I going by coach? What is the mode of transportation for me? The same kind of thoughts that you put into to any kind of journey is the same kind, is the very similar principle that you've got to think about when you're thinking about your career and how you're going to plan it. So again, going back to your journey that you're going on, what I want you to think about is, you're going to be thinking about how long is it going to take me to get from A to B. So if I'm going to Manchester and I'm going by road, it'll probably take me 3 hours. So what am I going to take with me? What's the logistics of getting there? If I'm going by train, if I book my train well in advance, at least a month in advance, it's going to be cheaper for me to buy a ticket a month ago rather than leaving it to the last minute. So it's all these kind of plans that you need to put together, that you need to start thinking about when you're planning your career. One of the key things I also want you to start thinking about is, has anybody ever thought, okay, I spent, from when you're at the age of 2, parents will put you in nursery, and then you work your way all the way from the age of 2. There's a plan from nursery school to primary school. From primary school, there's a plan. You're going to spend, from year 7 in secondary school up until year 13 when you finish your A levels. Then from there, you then move on to university. So there's an established plan there. So what is missing for me is, what about your career plan? There's the educational plan. So what is your career plan? You're going to end up spending, so from when you graduate from university at the age of 21, you're probably going to spend another 40 years working. So you need to think through, what am I going to be spending the next 40 years doing? You need to map it out clearly. So I want to quickly talk about, what are the key stages of a career plan formation? So the first one is identifying your skills and interests. And I'm going to talk about that briefly. The second one is exploring what your career options are. The third one is about deciding on a choice of career. And the fourth one is, that's where you need to actually take some action and map out your plan by setting achievable goals. So the first one, which is about identifying your skills and interests. Choosing a career is a big deal. I cannot emphasize this enough. You're going to spend a significant amount of time at work. And in order for you to enjoy what you're going to be doing, you need to choose wisely. The first thing you need to be doing is, you need to know yourself. A lot of us, we know what we're good at. And we know those things that we shy away from. What you need to be doing when you're identifying your skills and interests is, you need to take a stock of all the skills and assessing your interests and values. What am I good at? What are those things that, even if I'm not paid to do it, I'm going to do it anyway? We know that is where our skill strength lies. It's important to also think about your range of skills. Sometimes, I know my IT skill is not as good as many of you on the platform. It doesn't come naturally to me. But I've seen some young people, they are proper IT geeks. You know that they make a good career, understand your skill set, your knowledge. so that you can see if they're a good fit for the kind of career that you want to go into. You need to be aware of the skills, and you need to highlight any gaps that you may need to fill in order to achieve some of those goals. I know some people who have spoken to me. I've coached a lot of young graduates or undergraduates, and people will say, I fancy doing this. And then, somebody had spoken to me about wanting to go into the HR career, and they're very shy. They don't like engaging with people. Okay, I've got a message to say, okay. Right, can everybody still hear me? Let me just quickly send a chat. Okay, good. Sorry, because I've just got a message to say they can't see me. Can you see me now? Okay, I'll carry on. So you need to be able to understand the range of your skills and knowledge so that you know where you can fit in perfectly. So I was talking about a young person who wants to go into HR and they don't like interacting with people. And one of my concerns would be, okay, yes, you're good at a number of things, you've got all the skills, but we need to work on that skill gap that we need to then start to develop. And these are the kind of things that, as part of your identifying your skills and interests, you need to walk through all those skill set that you have, and also to identify any kind of the gap. Make a list of all the transferable skills and specialist skills, and consider where you are now, where you want to be, what I'm good at, what are my interests, what are my motivations, what are my values, what do I enjoy doing most at school, what kind of lifestyle do I want? So I've spoken to lots of young people, and some of them, they like to drive Ferraris, they like to drive Lamborghinis. I think your career choice, you need to think about that. Depending on the kind of lifestyle you want for yourself, you need to start thinking about your career choices as well. If you're struggling to identify your strengths or weaknesses or character traits, taking a personality or psychometric test might help you bring it to light. This is something that you can speak to your parents or you can speak to your teachers in school, and they'll be able to support you with that. Number two, and I'm going to walk through this very quickly because I'm conscious of time, you need to explore your career options. So having undertaken the skill gap analysis, what are those career options that you think, okay, these are the career options that will align with my skills? You need to research the job markets and look at different career paths. You need to consider what the ideal job sector will be in terms of national jobs, global jobs. You need to look at the overarching job sectors. You've got the private companies, the sole traders, the partnership and limited companies. You've got the public sector, the local and national governments. You've got the not-for-profits, often referred to as a third sector. So what you need to do is to compile a short list of about 5 to 10 jobs. And you're going to be hearing from the young speakers later today in terms of their career options and how they're doing. And that will really help you to make an informed decision. So think about 5 to 10 jobs and then narrow it down. You might want to then look at job descriptions. There are lots of information and resources online. So I'll pick an easy one, which is if you want to be an accountant, you recognize that your mathematics is very solid and you think you want to embark on a career journey of being an accountant. You might just go on Google, download a job description of an accountant and look at the career mapping in terms of how do I start my career as an accountant? What do I need to do? So there are lots of resources online where you can identify all sorts of career options and then think about who can help me to work on this journey. So once you explore all those career options, you then need to decide on a choice of career. I've seen a lot of people going into university studying accounting, and then they decide, I want to work in the world of investment bank. There are lots of options out there. So you need to decide on a choice of career. Once you make a decision in terms of your choice of career, you then need to think about, am I going to enjoy doing this job every day? So that's the reason why it's always good to have a backup plan. So when I studied economics and business studies at university, before I decided to go onto that course, I knew I wanted to go into a career in human resources. However, I didn't want to pigeonhole myself. So I decided I was going to broaden my horizon. So I did a course that gave me the options that if I decide I don't want to do human resources again, I'll be able to easily switch onto something else. So you want to ask yourself, will I enjoy doing this job every day? Does it meet most of my preferences? Do I have the right skills? There's no point in going onto a course and you know you're not so good at it. You want to set yourself up for success. So you want to make sure you have the right skills. You want to think about your values as well. You want to think about will this job offer me the realistic salary that I'm looking for? I know a lot of jobs, for example, there are some roles that the starting salary is about 20-25, even as a graduate. And there are some roles as a graduate that easily you could start with 40,000 pounds or 45,000 pounds. So you really want to start thinking about this. For some people, it's not about the money, it's about the job satisfaction. But you need to think about this, the entire options around the salary, the job satisfaction. What I also encourage you to do is to check out the Student Career Guide online. It will give you a lot of information about all the various career options out there. And then number 4, which is the last step of the career planning process, requires you to take action. You need to outline how you're going to get from A to B. Your career plan should outline your short, medium, and long-term goals. And this is a plan that you need to constantly review. You need to check that you are reaching those goals. You must establish a backup career development plan as well. So you've got your option A, option B, and option C, and it will give you alternative path to your long-term career goal. Some of the kind of short-term goals that you need to be thinking about will involve, it doesn't matter how young you are, having a CV which gives a brief profile of yourself, what you've undertaken, and start to look at undertaking internships. So if you want to, say, for example, become a medical doctor, or you want to go into a career in digital marketing, start to look at organizations that can support you to develop all the skill set. Reach out to organizations on LinkedIn, reach out to some of the aunties and uncles who are in the same line of career, who can support your aspirations. Next one, please. I'm trying to get through this very quickly. So finally, I want you to begin to start asking yourself, what actions, what steps will help me to achieve my career goals? Where can I get help from? There are lots of people, mentors that you can speak to who can support you. I know a lot of schools, they offer a lot of career development sessions. Speak to, lots of resources online where you can get some help. Who can support me? It's not too early to have a mentor. Reach out to mentors, people that you think will be able to guide you, offer you career development opportunities, and support you. At the end of all the steps that we've talked through, I want you to put a plan together in terms of, okay, plan A, now from today, I know I'm doing my A-levels. My A-levels, I've got mathematics, economics, and possibly another subject. And some of you do EPQs. What course do I want to do? Some of you are still thinking, am I going to study economics in uni? What do I want to do? You need to be able to think about what degree you're going to be undertaking at university, which will also help you to plan out what career options. And remember that career planning is a continuous process. Sometimes we can, we do change our mind. It's fine, but just make sure you're on track and you're talking to the right people. Revisit and review your aims and objectives throughout your career planning, and don't feel constrained by the goals that you've set. The structure of your career plan should help you to clearly map out the route to trying something new. So if I'm going to Manchester, I'm starting from, probably getting into my car, parking at a train station, buying my train tickets, knowing this is where I do my connecting journey. It's important that we have a clear career plan so that we can set ourselves up for success. We know what we're going to be doing at every stage. Next slide, please. So what I want to do quickly, I want to share my career journey with you. And there's a plan that sits beneath this career journey. So for me, I should have put my career plan, but I thought it's just going to be too much slide. So I completed a BA Economics and Business Studies in 1993, from 1993 to 1997. During that time, before then, I knew I wanted a career in human resources. So upon completing my master's in human resources, I did my CIPD qualification between 1997 and 1999, and I went straight onto my first role in 1999. As an HR assistant, I'd mapped out my career to say, I'm going to start off as an HR assistant, and I gave myself 15 years to become an HR director. And you can see, I've not put some dates, but it actually took me about 6 years to become an HR director because I had everything clearly mapped out. In my early 30s, I was sitting at the board of executive team, running an organization. I didn't need to even apply for a number of the roles that I got. I was known within my field, within the social care sector, within the HR career. I was well known. I was headhunted for a number of roles, and I've had a highly successful career. And one of the things that I would definitely say to you is that the career plan really, really helped me. I knew where I was going. I knew how to navigate my way around, and I had mentors, I had people to go to. So for me, I just want to share my career journey with you. I started off as an HR assistant, and my last role was the group HR director with a company called Envivo Group. I didn't apply for the role. I was headhunted for it. And after spending just over a year within the role, I realized I needed to set up my own business. I've built up so much experience. I have, in terms of entrepreneurial mindset, my commercial acumen, it was on top form. And it was because I had a solid career plan and I knew what to do at each stage of my career. And last year, I took a decision to set up my own business. I can say to you that it's based on the network of contacts that I've made during my career. Those contacts are, most of them are my clients now. So I want to encourage every single one of you. It's important that you have a career plan, even if your ambition is not to stay within the corporate world. Whatever you choose to do, have a career plan. Next slide, please. So my question to you today is, do you have a future ambition? Have you identified a suitable career option for you? Do you have a career plan? So if you do not have a career plan, I want to encourage you to start getting yourself ready and become career ready. And the final thing from me today, which I want to leave you with, my final slide on a final note, is the best way to predict the future is to create it. If you have your plan ready by creating your vision, then if you can dream it, then you can do it. I did it. I had my career plan, and I'm proud to, I can confidently say to you that it has worked for me. And I want to see every single one of you on this platform today to start thinking about your career plan and map it out. And if that is one thing you take away from this session today, start to map out your career plan. And all the very best to every single one of you. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Lola. I think I'm going to leave that next task to you, Lola. I think you're in a better position to do that. and that is the intern.
Okay, so I am so excited about this young man that I'm about to introduce to you. Tobani Olabowale is a very, very, very special, very special. Look at the smile. I have been hanging out with Tobani for quite a while now. I've been working with him, coaching him. He's a second-year student of economics. Economics is highly driven. And I remember some of our coaching sessions is, the energy. Is a special, special person. I know he's love for football. I know he's into a number of things, and he's a leader. And I can't wait for him to share his experience with you all today. So Tobani, welcome. Can we see?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Very encouraging. So good afternoon, everyone. As Auntie said, my name is Tobani Olabowale, and today I'm going to be sharing my internship story with you. So I think the best place for me to start is at the end of my first year at university. So this was last year summer. I actually undertook the career planning with Auntie Lola, sorry. She really took me through a lot of different processes. So doing the personality test, helping me to understand what my strengths were, what my skills were, what my interests were. We spoke about a number of different career options and choices, and we really laid out a 5-year detailed plan. And within the plan, I knew that next summer I needed to look to get an internship, as this would help me and aid me with getting onto a graduate program and a job in the future. So I think the first thing that I want to say here is preparation is key. Before I even started any applications or applying to companies or any interviews, Auntie Lola had really helped me to understand what my skills were, what my strengths were. We were able to develop my CV. I was able to have a strong idea of what industry and what career path I wanted to get into. So by the time it came to the application phase starting and applications opening, I had a strong idea of what I wanted to do and where I was going. So I think the first key point is preparation is key before you even start the application. So fast forward now, we're into September. So I've just started my second year of university. And at this moment in time, that is when internship applications open. So now you're going to be applying to different career choices. There's going to be loads of options. Firms are doing different types of internships. So there'll be some that are 6 weeks, some that are 10 weeks, some that are only for a couple of weeks. There's loads of different industries and choices. And to be honest, it can be quite overwhelming. So this is why I think it is very good to have a plan, have an idea of what industry, what you want to go into, because it's going to be far more beneficial for you if you have a list of companies that you want to apply to. You have an idea of what career you want to go into and what industries you want to join, because that will help you to streamline what companies you're applying to when applications open. So for me, at Timope, and I understood that I wanted to go into the financial industry, specifically investment. So we were able to make a list of firms that I wanted to apply to. Therefore, I did that. So once September started, I was doing a number of applications. And I think an important thing to note is the application process can be quite daunting. There are a lot of questions you're going to have to answer, constantly going to be sending your CV. And I think it is a process that takes a lot of willpower and determination. The fact of the matter is that you're not going to get into every company that you apply to, and that's just the reality. And don't let that be disheartening to any of you. I think everyone goes through that rejection phase. Everyone gets that, unfortunately, email, but you just have to keep persevering, keep applying, and you will get your internship. So I think I personally applied to well over 30 companies, and I mean, thank God I've got an internship now, but I just want to give you guys an idea for how many companies you will have to apply to before you land your dream internship. So as part of the application process, I applied to a program called 100 Black Interns. And I was able to do this because I discovered that I wanted to go into the investment management industry. And their aim was to get as many young Black people into the investment management industry as possible. So their program is to get 100 Black students doing an internship in an investment management company. So I sent my CV over to them. They took my CV and sent it out to different firms. And one of the firms got in contact with me and said that I was going to have a phone call with a lady from HR. And I think a key thing here is to always put your best foot forward. When they advertised the phone call to me, it sounded like something that was going to be quite informal and just a discussion about me and the firm and what the program was. But I think I took this opportunity as this was the first impression that I was going to make to this company. This was the first interaction I was going to have with them. And therefore I needed to put my best foot forward. So this was a time where I had to do adequate research about the company. I needed to have interview questions ready to answer, even though this wasn't necessarily an interview and it wasn't advertised as an interview. It was important that I was adequately prepared so that anything that came up during the phone call, I was able to answer the questions, I was able to speak confidently, and I was able to, you know, put my best foot forward during that phone call. So the phone call went really well, and therefore I was progressed to the final stage, which was the panel interview. And this stage was far more intense than the phone call, because the panel interview is essentially where you've got a number of different people interviewing you all at the same time. So I had a number of different people giving me a number of different questions, such as firm-specific questions, so questions about the firm and their organization and what they do. I had some strength-based questions, so that's more about me. What do I do? What are my skills? What are my strengths? What are my interests? Why do I want to get into this industry? And I had some more technical questions, which are far more specific to the role and the career choice that I wanted to get into. So again, this was far more daunting. This was a video interview. I had to make sure that I was dressed appropriately. So for me, that was shirt, tie, and blazer. I think I actually wore the suit that you saw in the picture. So, I mean, if you're wondering what to wear, you can always refer to that picture. But all of these things, they will actually help you. I think wearing the suit, wearing the tie, it does actually give you the confidence going into the meeting, because you know, you're wearing the same things that they are. So you feel like you're supposed to be there. It will give you the confidence going into the interview. But I really just want to make sure that I stress the point of how important research and preparation is, because by doing the adequate research, by preparing, by practicing those questions, and Auntie Lauder really helped me. We did various practice interviews before I went in there. She told me what areas of the company to research, and this will really help you, because by doing all of this, you're going to feel very prepared, which is going to give you the confidence going into that interview, because you know that you know your stuff, you're ready, you're supposed to be there, and it means you'll be able to go in there and smash it. So I just want to really stress how important that point of preparing and research really is. So I did the final panel interview, and then within a week, they got back to me and said, congratulations, that I was going to be joining their summer internship program. And this was about December, so it was quite a quick process, September to December. I went from September doing as many applications as I could do to December having an internship. So in the summer, I'm going to be interning at CQS, which is an asset management firm. I'm going to be working on the ESG desk, which is environmental and social governance. We'll be working through ESG policy within their investment streams. So I hope I've been able to share my internship story and how I got to do my internship in the summer. So I'll be starting that in 2 weeks. But yeah, I hope everyone's been able to take something away today. And I think if I was just going to leave you guys with something, I think preparation is really key. If you can prepare, you know what you want to do, put the right plan in place, and do your adequate research, it will feel confident that you're doing the right thing, that you've picked the right career choice, but you'll have confidence when you go and speak to those organizations, because you've done the adequate research and you belong there and you deserve to be there, and you will get your dream internship. So hopefully you can all take something away from that story.
Thank you very much, Tobani. Of course, I've been taking notes myself. I said, oh my goodness. Yeah, a round of applause for Tobani. Thank you very much. Don't go away, because we're going to have our Q&A at the end, and you're going to be on the panel as well. And guys on call, please note your questions. That's where we have the chat box. Please put your chat box, your questions in that chat box. We will take them. So you have the opportunity to ask questions, but also put your questions in the chat box, and yeah, we will take them. So very well done, Tobani, for that. I'm just going to move ahead. I think what we've got ahead now, that will be, all right, branding. Okay, so that's about me. Okay, all right. By Titi Omola, I was just wondering, who's talking about this branding? Of course, it's me. Branding. You've heard a little bit about it from what our speaker just talked about. That's Tobani. Dressing for the work. It depends if you're going for kind of work that's got to do with investment in a corporate environment. You've got to look the part. And there are some other roles that, you don't need a suit and tie, to be honest, for some. So you need to understand. And we're going to be talking about that in our brand. So let's talk about brand. What is a personal brand? Yeah, what is it? Firstly, let's look at brand itself. Brand can be defined as a design, symbol, something, a feature that identifies you as a person and that sets you apart from others. It's they're distinct. There's something about you. It's only you that's got that. You've got your own style. There's a way you present things. There's a way there are some core skills that you've got. You've taken your time. Maybe you've trained yourself, or over time you've attended trainings. That there's some key things. So there are things that you do naturally. Maybe you're just the way you address situations, questions, the way you approach questions. There are people like that the same question, if I take it to A, I take it to B, the way they are going to break that question down and make it simple will be amazing. So there are people like that. So these are skills. Not everyone that can break, that can interpret a complex information and make it really simple. So and out there are employers that's a core thing that they will look for. So in a brand, you've got to think about what's unique to you and how you also want to portray yourself to the audience. Now let's talk about personal brand statements. That is very important. We see that a lot. It's a personal brand statement. It's like it's a short sentence that sums up your brand, what you want to say about yourself, what you want people to remember you for. When they call out your name, what is it that you want people to remember you for? Firstly, you need to think when you're writing your personal brand statement, and it's important that you take notes and you have it written somewhere and you memorize it. You memorize it. Yeah. What do you do? What do you have to offer? Yeah. What is it? What is it that you have to offer? What problem are you able to solve? You've got to write it down, identify it. And especially if you've done that, you've helped corporation, you've helped people in the past, you've got to note that down and try to articulate it in a very short, but really punchy manner. You want to identify your target audience as well. There are some key words that they speak. You need to know who you're targeting. What you're going, if you're a digital marketer, there are some keywords that you need to be shouting out in your personal statements that only people that are interested in things like that would be looking for that. Yeah, so you can't be a digital marketer and you're talking architecture. You can't be a digital marketer and you're talking medicine, something like that. There are key words you need to identify that resonates with your audience. And you've got to understand also, be excited. I think it was my friend Lola that said it, what makes you happy about, you've got to be excited about your job or role, whatever you're doing, and be able to actually shout that out to others so that they know that you're not just doing this thing for sake of doing, you are passionate about it, you love it. The fact that you said you can solve their problem, you're not telling a lie, you can do it, because even your personal statements actually explains, they can see that passion within your statement. And how do you do it? How do you do it? That specific skills, you've taken your time. Some of us, you've taken your time to go and learn it. I mean, if you're in an environment that all they're looking for will be people that are skilled in maybe agile, especially in technology, you can't go there and say, oh, if you're not experienced, if you're not skilled in that area, if you want to apply for a role, you probably won't be shortlisted because you won't understand what they have, what they're asking for. So you need to understand those unique skills that you've got. You've taken your time to acquire them. Some you've gone online to study. You've got to shout it out that hey, this is what I have, that this is why I'm different. Okay. Next one. There's another key point around it. Again, I've mentioned it, key attributes. Apart from your training, your character. Are you reliable? Are you a good communicator? Are you very direct in your things? Are you able, I mentioned earlier, are you able to make complex information, break it down into simple form? Yeah, so those are the key things that you need to, and that could come from even what your friends have said about you or people around you. You hear them say something around your personality. Yeah, so those are the things you need to note down and let them shout them out, even in your personal brand statements. Like I said, it's something, your personal brand statement must mention things that makes you unique, that no one can copy that. Even if they try to copy, no, it can't. It's just you, and it's unique to you alone. So we're going to take a look quickly about we're going to watch a branding video, but don't worry, we won't be doing that. We'll move straight on to writing personal brand. Just a little bit about the video. The video, we're just going to look at two salesmen that approached the same organization, and the other salesman had this, and it's got to be with branding. So he's got his own gold pen. So when the client, the same client that's got two different salesmen, they were going to go with the first one, but when he was speaking to the second one, and you needed to write something down, the second salesman quickly brought out a gold, very nice, posh pen. And the client remembered that when the other guy, the first salesman, came, actually had one I don't want it was just one plastic pen that he gave to him when they were talking, when he wanted to write something, just testing both salesmen, kind of testing them, checking them out. And in the other one, he saw that the second salesman was, had very good quality. He liked his style, he likes his brand. He's from that, he's beginning to, think that, okay, if this person is actually into quality, this is what we do in this company. And I need not say much. I mean, the second one with the gold pen was able to even tell the client, you know what, since you like the pen so much, why don't you use it to sign up this contract and let's seal the deal? Anyway, so that was how that deal was done and dusted, and it was given to the one that was well prepared with the brand, setting himself apart from others. So it's important. Don't listen to people that say, oh, you're doing too much. If that is what you're about, please, think about it and put it together in a very, very nice way. Branding is very important. So we're going to look at examples of, we're talking about tips for writing a strong personal brand statement. Firstly, we said it must be in the form of tagline or catchphrase, creative slogan about your business or about you. I put there what we write, our slogan for Cause for Children, and that's what we're all about. We're empowering our youth to thrive. When you see our slogan, we're all about young people, teenagers, and we're just not, it's not just being in touch. We want to empower them. So we're putting up things that initiatives, services, products that they can use to be empowered and move forward in life. And of course, our famous Tesco, that every little helps. Something memorable, you can't. If I say every little helps, Tesco comes to mind straight away, and that's because it's a slogan that is creative, and it tells a lot of story about their business. It must be punchy, concise, and memorable. Yeah, I picked up Deliveroo. I like that. Says their own slogan is your favorite restaurants and takeaway delivered to your door, and that's what they do. Yes. Oh, thank you. Food, we get it. That's it. Someone just told me. Nelson, thank you very much. Food, we get it. That's another one. Yeah, and that's all about, that's what, when you talk about Deliveroo, they're not delivering clothing, they're not delivering furniture. It's all about food, and it's right at your doorstep. Communicate certain level of intrigue, to keep people interested in you and what you do. So when you're writing your personal statements, you need to think about that so that people will read it and they'll be like, all right, I think I want to get to know this person. So I put an example there. I said, rather than saying, oh, hey, I'm John, the boiler man. Yeah, we know you do boiler, but make it more punchy, interesting. Yeah, say, hey, John, hey, hi, I'm John. I keep families warm through bespoke heating installation. Isn't that beautiful? From a boiler man to the one that keeps the family warm through bespoke heating installation. So you got to think about this. Remember, I said at the beginning, nobody is going to steer your ship for you the way you would do it. So your brand is you. You are your brand. You are the MD CEO of your brand. So shout about it. Be creative about it. There's another there about the digital marketer saying, hey, I'm a digital marketer. I develop powerful digital marketing strategies that help businesses find new customers. That's what digital marketing is all about. Yeah, and you're shouting those words that people that are looking for digital marketers, they're looking at marketing strategies, they're looking at new customers. Yeah, those are the words. So you're speaking it. A real estate agent says, yes, I can help you find your dream home for the price you want. Yeah, it's not saying, oh, I look after houses, I can search house for house for you. It's saying, no, I can help you find, it's a dream home, it's just not a house. I'm helping you find the dream and at the right price. So you know those words, you understand your audience, you know what will make them, that will tickle their minds, and you shout it out. Yeah, and then the last one is mention how you have helped others to succeed. It's important that you shout about it. If you've done it, shout about it, because there's no point saying I've done this, I can do this. But if you've actually done it, shout about it. And I like this one. It was written by Mindy Gibbons Klein, and it says, I help thought leaders. Thought leaders, that's people that are, you're just not an ordinary person. You're a leader, and you're smart. Said I helped them to write great books in 90 days. My goodness. And he also went ahead to say 300 satisfied clients so far. Yes. So if you have that, yeah, please write it. And your personal statement is not something that you write and just go and put somewhere. You need to keep, amending it. I mean, maybe for starters, you've not really helped a lot of people. You're just starting. Yeah, that might be simple. When you start to have achievements, try and coin them into your personal statement, because they will do you very much good. Next one, we're going to just quickly look at sample personal brand statements. Example, I mean, that's mine. I'm a business consultant. I'm delivery focused. I'm an agile practitioner. I have Prince 2. I have sharp business acumen, and I have project management skills. So if you're looking for someone that is going to, and I work with corporations to deliver complex digital initiatives. So when you think of complex digital ones, then I'm the person to talk to, because I'm passionate about it. I love it. And and most of all, I'll ensure that I'll do my best to ensure that what you get, apart from it, being resonating with your customer, which is why it's customer centric, you as a company, as a corporation, you will also get valuable returns from it. So, so that's how you write your personal statement. And I will encourage you to do that. I was hoping that we might, maybe when we take our break, which is what we're going to do very next, that you might have take that opportunity to also write your brand statement. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. So practice writing your personal branding statement. Now, I know we've been talking and talking and talking. We are going to take a 5-minute break. Whilst we're away, may I ask that you please fill the survey for us. You've got the QR code there. Please use your phone, scan, go there, fill the survey for us. And if you want to type in slido.com, the code is #futureproof, all in capital letter. And then fill that survey for us. So 5 minutes break, grab some water, grab a snack, and then we're coming back to hear from our speakers. Thank you very much. See you soon. Thank you very much. Welcome back. I hope you've had very, very quite short, but well rested. You've taken your drink, and we're ready for the next phase of the journey. Okay. Oh, thank you. Someone just sent a message. Thank you for putting this together, especially since it's free. Thank you very, very much. Well, that's why we're here. Want to see our youth thrive. So yeah, so that's where you're very, very, very much welcome. Now we're moving on to the interesting part, another interesting part, because I know it's been beautiful right from the beginning. And I'm thankful to all of you for joining and for staying tuned. We're going to hear from our speaker. Now, the first speaker, I've known this gentleman since, I can't even remember now, maybe in his 10 years, 12, 13, I think I've known him. This particular gentleman that I'm about to introduce, I'm waiting for the slide to come up so I can talk about him. That's it. Aha. That's him. That's the gentleman. He's a Christian. I know him definitely. And he's one of the 4 leaders of at Trinity Chapel. Level Up is a teenage ministry, I think. Yeah. And he's one of the leaders there. And I've known him as a very, very young boy. He's a man now. He's an economics graduate from the University of York. He's been previous head boy of Christ Hospital School, Sussex, and he's a captain, member of numerous sports and music groups. He's also a Manchester United supporter. So all you Manchester United fans on call, I'm sure you're hooting for this gentleman. I'm talking about Tofumi Odisholu. He's a technology and data consultant. Thank you, Tofumi, for coming on board, and over to you to take the floor.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you for that amazing introduction as well. Yes, it's been a long time we've known each other and we're still here, so we thank God for that. And thank you everyone for joining and having me today. As Auntie mentioned, I'm going to be talking a bit about my job, what I do. I'm a technology and data consultant, one of the big financial services firms. And here's the agenda as Auntie so kindly brought up. So I'll talk a bit about who I am, a bit about what I do, my life as a consultant, who I help, how you get into what I do, and what you need for my role. So skills, both hard and soft skills that are needed to become a data or technology consultant. If we can move on to the next slide, please. Perfect. So this is a quick run through of who I am. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tofumi Odisholu. I'm 24 years old. I'm a Christian, and I work at KPMG UK. It's one of the big buildings in Canary Wharf. If some of you are familiar with that area. I'm an economics graduate from the University of York. I spent 3 years there, what feels like not that long ago, but it's quite a while ago now that I think about it and look at Tobani earlier. I'm a Manchester United supporter, and I'm involved in numerous things, whether it be sports, music, etc. But to call out a few, football, climbing, boxing groups, and just all things sport are a bit of me. And in terms of what do I do? So some of you won't understand what a technology or data consultant is, but we have clients at KPMG who we help transform the way they will use and manage their data. And that's in line with current and future market trends for regulatory reporting and digital platforms. So everyone will understand or have Instagram on this call, I believe. Some of you might have a business or a professional account. So if you look at the images that I've put onto this slide, the left one is an insight into my friend's image. She's a photographer and much more activity on her page than mine, so I thought to share hers as opposed to mine. And you can see a clean breakdown of all the insights for that post. You can see how many people have liked it, how many people have saved it, commented, how many people have visited the profile, the website tabs, the impressions, all these different things, which are very helpful. They help tell you what this image is doing outside of just your phone and your device. Now, this dashboard is essentially what I produce as a technology and data consultant for big financial services firms. So they have a load of data about how many people are engaging with their platform, engaging with whatever product they have delivered, and they can't see it. It's too big. It's just in the Excel spreadsheet. It's very hard to look at and get any sort of insights from. But then I will load those up into a different medium, whether it be a dashboard, whether it be a PowerPoint slide, whether it be a cleaner Excel, wherever that may be. I'll package the information together so that I provide some sort of insight that's of value, and then I'll give it back to them in a clean and easy way for them to understand. That way, we're informing their business decisions, we're informing their strategies going forward, what products they continue, what products they discontinue, whether they're going to move forward in a revenue facing perspective. When I say revenue facing, that's new activities which are to generate more business towards themselves, or a cost saving perspective. So that's looking at the activities they have right now, making them more efficient, cutting out a few in some cases, and things of that nature. So it's a bit of strategy work. It's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of understanding of things like mathematics. And that's where my economics degree comes in handy, just an understanding of statistics and how to find images and messaging in numbers. So if that's something that's of interest for you, then I 100% recommend technology and data consulting. I'll go into a bit more data as we move along. But yeah, if you go to the next slide. Perfect. So many of you will be on the call and you'll be a bit unsure of what you want to do, how you're going to do it. And you just want to know a bit about what my life looks like as a consultant. I understand the anxiety around committing to a job without really understanding what that entails for me and my lifestyle, my work hours, and things of that nature. So first off, as a consultant, you go from project to project. So in a typical job, you might be one role dedicated to one thing, and that's what you do, and you do it for however long you decide to stay in that role or with that firm. As a consultant, the nature of our job is that we jump from project to project. So that's different firms, different clients, different deliverables, and we make sure that we do it for a span of 2 to 4 weeks. So a very intense short projects, and it can be 2 to 4 years. Now, those movements are very much determined by yourself, where your interests lie, what you're looking for. And as a graduate, they very much express that you must go onto numerous projects of different types. So if you're someone who maybe gets bored quite quickly and wants to explore different sectors, industries, and products, then this would be a good fit for you. As well as that, you get the opportunity for travel. So it's very likely that a project won't be based in London, whether it be in another place in the UK or abroad. So the firm will send you and the team away to, let's say, an example of where I've been is to Switzerland for a financial services firm for a few weeks to go meet their team and do a bit of data governance work for them. And another example would be I've been to Bath, so a bit closer to home, where I got to stay in a 5-star hotel room and have expense dinners and things of that nature, which was a lot of fun. So that is something which is very regular and is, business as usual for consultants to travel and to get to go to different places. Another thing is the business development and practice development angle. So client commitments always come first in consulting, but there's other angles in which people participate with training or developing themselves and others. We contribute to bids. So a bid would be an offering of ourselves for a piece of work to a different client. So you'll be involved in that and assisting with any internal projects or programs. An example of an internal project or program I'm involved in is the Black Heritage reverse programming and internship programs at KPMG. When I say reverse programming, it's that I, as a Black junior employee in the firm, will go and have a conversation with a senior partner and talk to them about my experiences, about how they can relate and how they can retrieve new high quality talent within the firm. And lastly, we have corporate responsibility and volunteering. So we have dedicated days every year to volunteering of your choice. So any initiatives that you're particularly interested in or you want to push forward either in the firm or outside the firm, they have dedicated days to support you with doing that. So that's a quick insight into life as a consultant. And who do I help? So as I mentioned earlier, I'm in the financial services industry. So these are just a few of the clients that I've worked with in my 3 years at KPMG, HSBC, London Stock Exchange Group, RBS, Goldman Sachs, Tesco Bank, Lloyds Banking Group. So large names that you'll be familiar with just by living in the UK. And on a general basis, I had a bit of imposter syndrome when I started going for such big names, but I assure you that the training that you get as a consultant does prepare you for these environments. And if you're engaged and you really dive in, clients will be receptive to your points of view, your opinion, how you can help. And yeah, delivering to a high standard is the most important thing above anything else. So yeah, if we move on to the next slide. How do you get into this career? So Tobani touched a lot about internships, which I think is a very, very important route into financial services, not just consulting. But in terms of consulting, there are two main routes that people go through. So the first one is an apprenticeship. So those of you that are a bit younger, maybe doing your GCSEs or just before that, apprenticeship will be on the card for yourselves. This is a 5-year program and it's at any point after school. So if you're in sixth form, and it's not quite working out for yourself, you can still apply for an apprenticeship. If you're about to join to uni and you want to go down work alongside uni, apprenticeship is up to you. It's an option for you. It's rotational. So as I mentioned, you will jump from project to project. It's not you fixed into one role. There's undergraduate degree support. So a great thing about apprenticeships is that once you're with the firm, you will work a certain amount of time, and then you go to university alongside working for a certain amount of time. So they spread that degree across the 5 years and the firm will pay for that degree for you. So you get your degree, but it's on KPMG in this example. There's a huge development push and it's partial wage. So the balancing part of it is that you're not getting the full wage a graduate or a KPMG employee would get, but you are getting money, which as those of you who are in student living and in university right now understand it can be a bit tight at times. So that's a great angle for you to be supported and to get your degree as well as get some valuable work experience. And then there's the graduate schemes. So graduate schemes typically come off the back of internships that Tobani mentioned. They're 2 to 3 years post undergraduate degree. Depends on the team that you join, rotational again. Professional qualification support and training is provided in the majority of cases. So I don't know if you were listening to Auntie earlier, but she mentioned that she qualified as an HR specialist after 2 years. That is the professional qualifications we mean. So that is textbook learning that goes alongside your on-hand experience to validate everything that you're providing to a client and make sure that you're providing it to the highest standard. As well as that, there's development push and a full wage. So if you're interested in wages and money is a motivator for you, and that's completely fine if it is a motivator for you, I suggest to go onto the Glassdoor and have a look at the different roles. Just type in a role that you've seen on a company website or through a friend and just see where they get paid. If that's something that is working for you, then yeah, go ahead. But that's something I didn't do before that I wish I did. So yeah, the Glassdoor is a great resource. And then what do I need in my role? So being a consultant is very much about being intelligent, but that doesn't always show itself in good grades. You need a lot more than just your grades to be a consultant. It's all summed up in being a problem solver. That's the key word that you need to mention in any interview, in any cover letter, in your CV. You need to demonstrate the way that you are a problem solver. And we show that in many different ways, a few that I've highlighted here. So first one is delivering quality. So it's about whatever you're doing being to its best possible state or condition. You have to be resilient. It can be intense. It can be a lot of balancing. It can be managing expectations. It can be handling different asks and prioritizing. So that requires a lot of resilience in the role. You need to exercise professional judgment, as I mentioned, through experiences and through the textbook learning that you'll do. That's something that you'll develop over time. You have to strive for continual improvement. So you can't be someone who rests on their laurels. You need to just continually wanting to get better, look for ways to make yourself better in the job, whether it be soft skills or hard skills. You need to be career motivated. That's, I think, a point that's been stressed quite a lot on this call already. It's not the easiest environment to be in, the corporate world, but it's very, very rewarding, especially when you're trying to get through the door. Personal experience, I did 65 applications before getting 3 approvals, many of which I didn't hear from. So it's not a point of, you're not a good candidate. It's not even a reflection of yourself very often. It's just you need to keep going. And in the day, you can only work for one company. So continually being motivated to see yourself through that door and end up where you want to be is going to be very important for everybody on this call. You need to make an impact. So you can't be someone who gets into a room and then doesn't deliver. Sadly, you need to come out your comfort zone. You can't be too quiet. Even in environments where you don't fully understand, you have an experience, you have a perspective that's going to be valuable. Understanding that before you go into the room and then adding that impact when you're there is going to be key as a consultant. And then driving collaboration and inclusion is huge, especially in the inclusion diversity world that we currently live in. Making sure that everybody's voice is heard is going to be very, very important. If you're the driver for that, bring a platform for everybody, then you're going to be invaluable at the firm. And lastly, awareness of business opportunities. So this comes to the preparedness point. You need to make sure that you're prepared both in the role and when you're doing your application. This comes through reading of the news, the financial sections of the news. This comes through having conversations with people in your sector. Like Auntie said, checking on LinkedIn, seeing what's going on, just being inquisitive and making sure that you are staying on top of what's currently happening in your market. So that's a high recommendation. If you can deliver all of these points, and I promise you every interviewer will be grabbing and fighting for your place in that grad scheme or in that role. So that's a key one. Then if you can go into the next slide, if there is one.
I think that's the
perfect.
last one.
That's perfect. Yeah. So those are some key points around my role and what I do. As I mentioned, I'm an economics graduate and I'm in technology now. So those of you who are thinking, I'm not a software engineer, I didn't do computer science at A level or in my degree, I can't be in tech. That is not the case at all. There are many, many roles within technology. And not only that, you are more than capable of learning. And I like to think that we're all continual students. So if it is something that's of interest to you, then please do go for it. Just give yourself a try. There's PMO roles in tech. There's BA roles in tech. When I say PMO and BA, sorry, acronyms. BA is a business analyst. So that's someone who will go in and communicate with clients on a direct basis on a call like we are right now. They'll host workshops, they'll gather requirements, and then they'll give it back to the techie people and the software engineers. So if that's something that sounds good to you, then please don't write yourself off before you're even in the room. And grad schemes are great for that reason. Just give yourself the opportunity, put your best foot forward. And then once you're there, you can hone in on where exactly that is. That pivot of your plan of where you want to be in the 5 years comes as you get experience. So if anybody is interested in tech and maybe you're a history grad or a language grad, please, please, please do apply. It's going to be valuable nonetheless.
Thank you very, very much, Tofumi. You've hit a lot of key points there. I like the resilience aspect of things, guys. You need to have that. I mean, Tofumi said 165 CVs. I tell you, in my days I did more than that, and and just like you said, it's not that you're not good enough. It's just that there are a lot of people out there, so you just keep trying and trying and trying, and keep working, keep learning, and improving yourself. Being prepared. So thank you, Tofumi. Please don't go away. We're going to have a Q&A at the end. And if you have any question for Tofumi, see that you put it in the chat box or you write it somewhere so that when we have our Q&A section, you might be able to ask him that question. Okay, now on to our next speaker. And I'm talking about this young man. He graduated from University of Cambridge with BA first class, and he's got a Mech Eng in electrical engineer. He worked as a software developer in the financial sector as well. His first introduction to software engineering as a career was, again, we're talking about this. Internship is very, very important. Guys on call, you need to jump on this internship and do your research and try and get there, because this was how this journey started for this young man. 2-week spring internship, and he's with the company. He's learned how to code primarily on the job. I'm talking about Baba Bob Shoile, software engineer. Over to you, Baba.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was on mute. Can everyone see me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Baba Bob Shoile. And I'll just give a brief introduction on myself, what I do, and my journey. So yeah, my name is Baba. Like I said, I'm a software developer. I work in an investment bank in the technology division. So I'll come a bit more to what I do in a bit, but just a bit of my journey. So I studied, take it back to sixth form, because I guess that's sort of where it might be a bit more important for this audience. So I studied math, further math and physics for my A levels. I also did economics for AS. In university, I went on to study electrical engineering. I did that for 4 years. I got a BA and an MEng. And then during my university course, I applied for a spring week, which I guess is something like everyone on this call can look into, like a bunch of consultancies, banks, and a lot of places offer spring weeks, which are or sort of like inside days, which are like maybe like 2 days. They're in anywhere from like 2 to 3 days to like a week to 2 weeks. Mine was 2 weeks, and those are meant to really attract like at the very early stage in like sort of your career. So they'll usually be aimed at like first year students or like second year of a 4-year course, and they're quite short because they don't really expect you to like know like everything or anything about the job. It's more of a chance for you to sort of learn more about the job, and rather than actually doing things at the job, it's more about you seeing what the job is like. So I did that in the second year of my university. In the technology division, I thought it was fun. The people at the company were really helpful, and it seemed like a really interesting job. After that, I was offered a summer internship the following year. I did a summer internship, which was like 10 weeks in the summer. And after that, I was given like a graduate role after graduation. So I started there 2017, and I've been there since. It's been great. Really enjoyed the work I do. And I think people have talked a lot about the internships. So I'll just talk briefly about internships before I go into, or maybe I'll talk about that later. So what I do, I'm a software developer. So software development is it's quite wide. It's a wide, like technology is wide. I think like the previous speaker said, tech as a role is sort of wide. There's like the very technical roles, or like the software role where you're writing the code and things like that. Then there's other roles like the technology consultants, or like a business analyst or project management. So it's very wide. But then even in software development, which is just a subsector of tech, there's even wider. You have things like, you have people that work on like UI, which is like the design part of it. People that do the design websites, people that design the sort of like the aesthetics of the applications and things like that. And you have people that work like behind the scenes, the part of the websites or the applications that you won't see, but that are very essential to making those run. So those we call like back-end engineers. You have things like data science and machine learning. You have things like even crypto as well, which you may have heard about. So it's quite a pretty broad role with software development. But for what I do, I'm mostly a back-end engineer. So I work on things behind the scenes, like things in the cloud that are used like behind the scenes for like websites and applications. So I don't work primarily on like designing the actual apps or designing the actual websites. I work more behind the scenes, which is quite fun. It's quite good. I've really enjoyed working on all of those things. So as for why I chose software development, so I did electrical engineering at university, and I think that's another theme you'll see like on this call, or at least so far what we've seen. People study things and then they go and work somewhere else, or they do something that maybe that the degree doesn't necessarily point out, like as an electric, I study electrical engineering, like the conventional thing would be to be an electrical engineer. But I went into software development for a number of reasons. So we mentioned internships a lot on this call. So I did an internship with my current place and they offered me a graduate job, but I also did 2 other internships. I did them with where I was working as an electrical engineer. One of them I made solar panels for like villages in East Africa. The other one was working with transmission and distribution lines. So internships, I think they're a great way to find, like, get your foot in the door for like jobs and roles, but they're also a way to like sort of like test the waters to see what you're like interested in. And I enjoyed all of them. Like they were all very different. I did 3 different internships. They were all very different, but I think the one I enjoyed the most, the one that I felt I liked the most or I would enjoy the most was this software engineering one. And that was a big factor in like me sort of choosing that profession. I enjoyed the internships quite well. It felt like it was easier for me to sort of do things. Like the barrier to entry was like very, in terms of actually doing things that you find interesting. I think software engineering or software development anyone can pick it up really. So that was partly why I chose that. It felt easier to sort of be able to make an impact there, starting from like a base level. I think the profession is futuristic. I think tech or software in particular is like eating the world. Like almost everything is being converted today to be use software. People use software to make their processes more efficient or make things happen. Like look at, for example, during the pandemic, imagine going through that without like software engineering or being where we were. There won't be like Zoom. Look at Zoom. That is literally software. So I think that and I think as we go on like more and more in the future, we're going to get more uses of software. I think software is going to be everywhere. I think software is already sort of everywhere. Like look at our smartphones and like the laptops, the internet, social media, all of that all has like software underpinning it. So I think it's a role that has like lends itself to being like future proof. I think you sort of always sort of need software engineers, I think, in the near future, I think mostly anyways. As for subjects that are required for software, I wouldn't say there's like any strict requirements. I mean, I think it depends on the particular roles you're going for because some are more technical than the others. So as a baseline software developer, we were just like building and coding. So there's more to software development than coding, but coding is just one part. For the coding, I wouldn't say there's anything in particular that you need this subjects, but I think there are a few subjects that are very helpful. I think math is one that is really helpful for like computer science or like software development in general. I think having that strong mathematical background, it sort of helps you in terms of like thinking like logically and writing the code. So having math as a strong point or if math is something you enjoy, then I think software engineering isn't something that's too far off. That's something that you could pick up. And computer science as well, I think as a subject, you can also do that. So I didn't do computer science. I did electrical engineering, so I didn't study that, but here I am. So I think there will be a lot of learning you need to pick up on the job. So I think if you can learn before you have to get learning on the job is something I advise everyone to do. It's what I did. But I think if you can learn beforehand, like by like choosing the subjects at uni or like sixth form, then that's even better. So things like computer programming and math, really useful. As for choosing university, so I went to University of Cambridge. I think when I chose university, I didn't think I'd be like a software developer. I still thought I'd be an electrical engineering. But I think choosing university, I think for software developers, I think I don't want to say university is not important, but I think university is important. But I think like a lot of software development, like the core parts of learning how to code, is things you can do without having like a degree in computer science. I think, but you do need to know the fundamentals. So you do need to learn the fundamentals. So like if you could do courses, there's like online resources that you can use, and then those would help you sort of like get up to basics with like those things. So in terms of like learning gaps, so that's the thing. I did like a bunch of online courses when I first started to just to sort of like get myself up to speed, because I had to get up and running. Like when I started, like no one was gonna say, oh, you didn't study computer science, blah blah blah. So I knew that I had to be delivering when I started. So I did a lot of work to get myself to sort of a level where I felt confident enough to deliver. And part of it is experience. So much of that just comes with time. As you use more of the software, you sort of get better and more confident in it. And in terms of paths to finding barriers, so I think we've talked a lot about internships. I think we're all young here. I think the earlier you know about the internships, the better. I was quite fortunate. My course was a 4-year course. If not, I wouldn't have been eligible for that first internship I did, which was for first years or second years of a 4-year course. So I think the earlier you know about the internships, I think internships are a great way to get your foot in the door in any industry, not just software, I think. But I think that's one way to do it. And I think in terms of skills to develop, so software development is, I think it's a bit unique in the sense, this is why I chose it, in that you don't, like for some other jobs, you may need to like be qualified or something to start sort of like working in that sort of role. But with software, literally anyone can pick it up. Like I think Lola, I think mentioned like there's kids that are like IT gigs and something. So like there's people that would have started coding that I work with that started coding like 10 years before I did. So like, I mean, I think the earlier you start, the better, but you can start at any time. So that's the thing I think you need to know. It's just about you wanting to develop those skills. And I think if you're looking to start, feel free to reach out to, can you get my details from the organizers, and I'll be happy to point you in the right directions. And I think what I enjoy the most about the role is that it's quite open. And I think once you learn like sort of like the basics, it's quite easy to sort of like switch, try out different things. You know, you can build things by yourself just for fun. I think and I think that was partly why I chose this, because like I wanted to be able to, if I had like an idea of, oh, let me just do this, like I could just do it myself and just make these things. So because software makes a lot of life easier. So like if you see something that you're doing every time, anything that is repetitive, you can use software to sort of make that easier. And I think that's what I enjoy the most about it, is how adaptable it is and how like useful it is in the real life. Like you can see, and like now working in software, like you can see, looking at websites, looking at apps, I can sort of like see, oh, I know how they work behind the scenes. And to me, that's really nice to sort of know or have that understanding of how the things that we use every day work behind the scenes. And general advice for people that are interested in this role, I would say, I'll say one, internships, and I'll say one, just try and learn it on your own. That's the first thing. I know it can be a bit difficult finding time, but I think if you have that focus, or if you really enjoy it, I think that's the best thing you can do. Just starting to try things out by yourself. That's one thing I wish I started programming earlier, because you know I think that would have given me more of an advantage. And then the other thing is internships, which is like the part I took, like, because internships sort of, they will sort of force you to learn, like if you haven't like sort of done that. But I think now more and more, even for these internships, they are getting more competitive. So if you have those skills beforehand, those combined, like if you've tried and experimented with like writing code and doing things like that, then those already give you like a leg up over other people that haven't done that at the interview stage. So yeah, I think in general, I think software engineering, I think software development is a great role, because I think it's very useful in the world we find ourselves today. I think every sort of industry needs software, and I think it sort of lends itself to like working in different sectors. So like if you're interested in sports, you can do software engineering for sports. If you're interested in, I don't know, business, you can do software engineering in business. You can do it in all sorts of roles. So I think it's very adaptable. And I think in general for careers, I think having a plan is good. And I think also relooking at that plan every couple of years is also good, because I think you found like a lot of people have sort of gone and studied things and then moved on to different careers. So I think it's sort of knowing what you want at each moment So rather than like fixing yourself on a plan you made 5 years ago, because you might not be the same person. So I'd say it's always important to keep refreshing those plans to keep, so that the work that you do is the work that you enjoy. So that's another thing. And I hope you're all enjoying the session. I think it's been great so far. I've been learning a lot from this session myself. And we'll be here at the Q&A. So if you have any other questions for me, I'll be there to answer them as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Baba. I'm learning myself. We all keep learning. I think that is one thing we need to understand. I'm still learning. I enjoy learning new things. I just get excited. So thank you very much. I just want to repeat again, if you have questions for Baba or Tofumi, please put them in the chat box, or you might as well just hold on to them when we have our Q&A session. Yeah. So the next speaker is another young man. He's an aspiring actor and writer. When I read his profile, I thought, oh, a law graduate now and into acting and filmmaking. So I'm really interested. I really want to know his career journey, why he decided to go that way. I'm talking about Bankole. He's recently finished filming his short film that he wrote, co-directed and produced. He's a law graduate from University of Southampton, and they attended Identity School of Acting. Yeah, he hosts a film TV podcast called Popcorn for Dinner. Yeah, welcome Bankole Mokwede, our filmmaker. Over to you, Bankole.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
In 2014, I was watching the Academy Awards, and Lupita Nyong'o won for her role in 12 Years a Slave. And during her speech, she said, no matter where you're from, your dreams are valid. And I didn't know it then, but that little affirmation from someone I'd never met before completely changed the course of my life, and probably my father's relationship with my degree. But before that, a bit of introduction of myself. Like you said, my name is Bankole Mokwede. I'm 26-year-old. I was born and grew up in Nigeria. I went to secondary school in Nigeria. I did my A-levels in Nigeria. And then I came to Southampton for university, where I studied law, as you mentioned. And I always cite my first year in university as a real turning point, because as you grow up in Nigeria, I think most people on this chat, on this call, who probably grew up in Nigeria would attest to it. There's select few courses that you can follow. There's, even when, for example, my father was someone who didn't force anyone to study anything, but you still knew that you had to be either a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or an architecture. And then if your family was very liberal, maybe you'll become a pilot or use. But so I came here, and then there was something I saw amongst my friends, people I met in university, and people were studying all sorts of things that were not in those categories. And it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that you could do other things. Like, obviously I knew conceptually that you could do other things, but it was like you could study other things, have careers in other things, and have an enjoyable life in other fields. And I have been acting my entire life. It was something I did continuously in school as extracurricular activities. And I knew I wanted to do it professionally, but I never thought I could, because again, as someone growing up in Nigeria, you don't think, well, yeah, in 30 years time, I'm going to be a working actor. So what I did was, and not many people know this, but I got the idea probably about second semester of my first year. And I didn't tell anyone for an entire year. I was the only one that knew about it. It just came up in my head and in my prayers. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to make sure that it was an idea that was real. And it wasn't something that was like, oh, law is getting difficult and I want to escape, or acting seems fun or whatever. I wanted to make sure this was something that I really wanted to pursue before I told anyone about it. And I felt that if I told people, there will be external influence to either be they'll try to dissuade me, or they'll be supportive, whichever way there was an influence there. So I wanted to make sure that it was something that was for me. And then after a year of just thinking about it myself, I started telling some friends, and then I finally told my dad, who, to his credit, has been very supportive, because I did finish my law degree, thank God, and I was able to do that and then go ahead with film. Like was mentioned earlier, I'm currently in post-production of my first short film, which I wrote and co-directed and also produced, which was an incredible experience and probably an entire different seminar if I wanted to get into that right now. Sorry, quickly, I have to apologize. My notes are on this screen, so you might see me looking this way. Like I mentioned earlier, is filmmaking, acting, writing is my passion, and I think that is said so often that it could come across as trite, but it is something that I love every aspect of doing. I love when I get to write something that other people get to perform. I love when I get to perform what other people have written. And filmmaking as a profession is something that you can't engage in unless you fully believe in it. You can't engage in unless it's fully your passion. It's not a profession that you can coast through, not something that you can just rely on the good days, because it requires so much of you. And look, I'm not trying to make it seem like this is the most difficult thing in the world. We're not saving lives, but it's a profession that requires so much of your dedication and your life, and you will get rejections because that is the nature of the job. So you have to make sure that you are fully invested in it, so that when those rejections come, you are able to take them and surf the wave and go on to the next one, because that is the nature of the profession. People will reject you. There are hundreds of people going for the same role and only one person can get it. So the main reason I can say for why I chose the profession is that again, I'm really trying to avoid the cliches here, but it was something that just didn't leave me. Within that 1 year where I spoke to no one about it, it was just me in my head, and every day I woke up and it was still there. It didn't want to leave. If anything, it just kept on growing. It felt like this little seed that was gestating in the back of my brain, and every day it seemed bigger, it seemed more important, it seemed more emotional, something I had to do. And then eventually I was like, yes, my life, if I wake up in 30 years time and I hadn't done this, that was one thing I could see myself regretting. And that was something I did not want to do. I did not want to live a life regretting a decision I did not make 30 years prior. Why this profession is futuristic? I mean, filmmaking and films will always be relevant, apart from the fact that people will always want entertainment and will always want to go see big explosions, and Vin Diesel will talk about family. It's filmmaking, and if you listen to writers and filmmakers and actors talk about it, it could sound a bit cliche, but it is the way that we use to document our lives. Filmmaking, along with other kinds of the arts like music and poetry and actual art, is what society uses to document itself, and either for posterity or to show other people a side of the culture. There have been some very incredible, for example, South Korean films that have made it mainstream in the last couple of years, and now the whole world knows, because they've watched Parasite, the whole world knows kind of what is going on with the poor people in South Korea, and that's just through a film. And there's so many films like that, so many instances where you get to experience the other person's point of view. Most of my feelings in life and about other people have come from watching films or TV shows that about from someone else's perspective. I've learned to understand what someone else is thinking about. It's made me more empathetic. It's made me more curious about other people's lives, because I've seen for example, a Black woman write a story about her life, and I'm like, oh, that's not an experience I know, because I've seen it on screen. I'm not more curious to know about it. So I think it would definitely always be relevant. It's not something that would be usurped by the robots in 100 years. People would always want film. People always want to tell stories. So subjects that are required. I mean, for example, for me, I always studied law in university, and then I went into this this industry, I took a couple of years at a film school in London, Identity School of Acting. There are other ways you can do it. People could go straight into the film world and just keep on going for auditions and try to learn on the job. There's no manual to it. You can study. I know in this country you can study drama at GC, A levels, and probably go to either film universities or go study film and drama at universities all across the country. So there is no right or wrong way to do it. It's just different options. You can, for example, say you want to study a different degree to have a backup plan, to have an insurance policy. There's nothing particularly against that, and also it's not the primary source. You don't have to do that. You can do whatever feels right for you. So I wouldn't say my route is the ultimate route or my route is the worst route you can take. I think it depends on so many different things. It depends on what, for example, what your parents are willing to accommodate. What do you have? What are you okay with? Would you feel more comfortable going all out for an acting career if you know you have another degree in the bag and you know you can revert to that? Do you think that that degree could be an anchor, so you want to go in free? It's again, it depends so much on what you think is best for you, and you should always think about that before you make any such decision. In terms of learning film, and this is something that I've done personally, there is so much information online. If you want to be an actor, if you want to be a writer, if you want to be a director, if you want to be an editor, whatever you want to be, there's 1,000 YouTube channels about it that are from very smart people and tell you how you can do it. You can have a film school education just on YouTube, and it's something that my YouTube recommended page, it's a mess. It's so many different things that people look at and like, what are you watching? Why are you watching 20-minute videos on how somebody lit a scene? And that goes back to the fact that you have to be passionate about it. It's not something you can come in half-assed, because there is so much homework you have to do just to catch up to people that are already doing it, that if you're not interested, if you're not invested, then there's no point. It's not something that you're going to do properly. For example, Baba, who spoke earlier, was an extra on one of the days I was filming my short film, and the extras would sit around and they will see us do the same thing like 5 or 6 different times, and maybe a difference in the scene, we would change the light bulb from blue to red, or we change the positions. Just, those little things don't mean anything to the outside world, but we know that they make an effect to what you're seeing, and you need to be invested in. I cannot stress that much. It's not something. It's not an easy career. It's not something that you say, well, it's acting, I can do it and I'll become rich. It's not. You have to be so invested. You have to be ready to dedicate so much of your life and yourself essentially to it. And I feel a bit like a bit of imposter syndrome talking about it, because it's not like I'm not a big actor, but I know like the past few years what I've given to it to get to just this stage. I know it's not something that you can, what's out of A levels, I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So you need to be ready to give so much and give so much of your sleeping time and because again, it's something that you might have to work around another job, because it doesn't sustain you for a while until it does. So you may need to have other jobs work around it, and you may need to be able to say, okay, even though I have that job that is paying me money, I can contribute all of myself to both things, and you have to be ready to make that kind of sacrifice. And one thing you have to do is you have to be knowledgeable about the industry. You can't say you want to be an actor and you don't know about films and you don't know what a particular role is. Like you cannot know, because no one knows everything, but you have to make your conscious decision to learn those things. When I started, like the film I shot earlier this year, I wrote it in December 2019, so over 17 months ago. And when I started assembling the team that would shoot the film with me, everyone I got was more experienced than me, was smarter than me, and that was partly intentional, because I wanted to learn. And in every Zoom meeting, I will tell them, look, this is the first time I do something like this. I'm going to ask you questions 100%, because I want to know why you're saying this. What does this mean? What does this phrase mean? You have to be curious. You have to want to know. You can say, oh, well, I want to be an actor, so I don't care what that lighting term means. Ask, find out about it, because you may want to be an actor, but you may need that So if somebody says it on a set, you need to know what it means. So learn about your intended role, learn about acting, if you want to be an actor, learn about writing, but also learn about other things. There's some publications like the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, they do things like the Round Table, where they have a bunch of actors come together and talk about either the craft or their roles and things like that, or they have writers and directors, and just listen. Some of the little tidbits that keep coming back to me are things that I've heard, some offhand comments I've heard from those kind of conversations, and you needed to expand your vocabulary to help you have a sense of presence when you're talking about these kind of things. You need to know what you're talking about. You need to have an authority on this kind of things, and I think that's something you have to be able to do for yourself. No one's going to set you down by a chalkboard and say this is what acting means, and these are the things you do when you're acting, the things when you do when you're writing. You have to learn it by yourself. You have to read books. You have to take notes. There are lots of books on filmmaking, all the areas of filmmaking. You have to read books. You have to learn stuff. You have to read scripts. You have to watch movies, just watch TV shows intentionally. You can't, not to sound like a purist, but you can't, if you're trying to learn something from a movie, you can't watch it on your phone. You need to watch it and focus on it and know why you're watching that. So I feel like I'm not selling this yet enough. I think I'm just telling you how much you have to give it to you. But that's if you are even in the position where you're thinking about film or acting or whatever, then it means that passion is already there, and you can't replace that passion. You can't replace the joy you get when you're on stage, and you can't replace the feeling of fulfillment you get when something comes off, when somebody says well done, when somebody's touched by something you wrote or something you did. That will never change. That will always be there, but you need to make sure that you have everything else. You have the hard work and the willingness to fight and the willingness to learn. All those things need to be there, so it balances out, and you know, I can do what I want to do. I can do the things I want to do well. In 2021, there is so much you can do if you want to go into this field. There's so many platforms, there's so many ways you can do it. If you want to put it on TikTok, you want to put it on YouTube, you want to put it on Twitter, you want to put it on Vimeo, like Instagram, there's so many ways to get out content that you're not waiting for anyone to do it. And which actually leads me to my most important advice I can give is, if you want to do something, just do it. If you want to become a writer, write. It doesn't matter if it's good, it doesn't matter if it's bad, just write. It's a muscle. The more you do it, the better you get at it. The more you do, the stronger you get at it. If you want to be an actor, go out and record yourself in different scenes. It could be scenes you write, it could be scenes from a movie, whatever. Create a show reel, have it there to share. Because a quick story before I round up. So about in 2016, people have been saying, oh, because you watch a lot of TV shows, create a blog. And I was like, I don't want to create a blog. That's long, and I'm lazy, which I am. And then a friend of mine told me, like, what are you doing? Create your blog, write. And I was like, yes, that's true. I'm not doing anything particularly right now. So I started writing, and I wasn't writing I didn't think I was going to become the next big writer, but I was writing because I felt like with every article I wrote, it became better. You write, and now I'm at a point where I've written a short film that quite talented people and quite some people who have actually done very famous stuff are in. A couple of years ago, friends of myself and we made a short film, a 5-minute short film. It was terrible. No one is ever going to watch it. It's on my YouTube page and it's locked. No, so you can ask, you're never going to see it. But I needed to do that because I needed to get that first one out of the way. And once I did that, it was so much easier to do this one, which is so much better, and like get so many people that are so talented involved. But if I hadn't done that first one, then I would never have had the enthusiasm to go ahead and do the next. Because you build it up in your head, you're like, the first one needs to be special, the first one needs to be perfect. It's not going to be. The third one might not be perfect. It's just not going to be. But you get out of the way, you write, you do it. It's just, and look, I think this goes for anyone that's going to talk here. Baba said it. If you want to be a coder, you code. You just do it. Don't wait for. The heavens aren't going to open and God is going to send down this sign that says do it. It's not. There's no special moment. Just do it when you want to do it. And if it's bad, you throw it away. If it's good, you save it. And by throw it away, I do not mean literally throw it away, because I think if you're a writer, you should always have everything you've written, because there's something you're always going to learn from it, something you're always going to have for it. So if you want to be a writer, just write. If you want to be a director, just direct. If you want to be an actor, act. So one last thing I would say quickly, sorry, a major benefit of this profession is that you don't need anyone else to start, which is kind of what I'm just saying. You can start with your phone and your friends and your room. You can, if you want to be a writer, you can start with your Microsoft Word and your dictionary. There is nothing, you're not waiting for anyone to help you. You're not waiting for anyone to teach you how to code. You know how to write because you went to school, and you just start, and then there is no rule to it. There's no pass or fail. It's, you want to be a filmmaker, you have the freedom to be creative. It is literally your imagination, and just you do whatever you feel works, and the rest will happen. I cannot, I look, if you're thinking about this, you're already in a great space. I wasn't in this space at your age. I only thought it was possible when I was already in university. So if you're here now thinking about this, then you have a head start, and I think you have it in you. So
thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm excited because I know there are people on this call that they're into stage performance and then into acting. So your session, it's like it's just reaffirming to them that they're on the right path, and they just have to continue, and also preparing them. I mean, you talked about rejection and just being prepared for it. I mean, this thing young people need to know that there will be rejection. So it's not only in CVs, it's also in even being able to just get that opportunity for people to even hear you out. So thank you so much, Bankole, for that. And also just letting people understand that you don't have to do something that you're not happy about. I mean, you like acting, and you would rather do that. And if you didn't take that step, you wouldn't, I don't know, maybe it would have been something you would regret, don't know, but thankfully you took that step. So letting people know that, it's important that you take that first step. Just do it. Don't be too afraid. Don't say it's going to be perfect. That's why we always say continuous improvement. That's it. That's what it's all about. So thank you so much. Don't go away. And guys, please save your questions. We got question for Bankole. We're going to take that Q&A. And we're moving on to the next speaker. I'm going to leave Mope Lola, my friend Lola, to introduce this next speaker.
Okay, I'm back with you guys again. I hope you've enjoyed the session so far, and thank you so much to all the speakers. I've learned a lot of things from you guys. I'm so excited to introduce this young lady, Kosi. It was like about 3 years. Graduate applications. Kose is another wonderful person. I've had the pleasure of as a graduate consultant, and now she's doing so well in her career. And I'm here to introduce Kose. Kose, over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear and see me okay. So a quick bit of background about myself. My name is Kose Isiade. I am a technical consultant. I studied computer science at De Montfort University. I did a year in industry, which is something you can do on courses where you work for a year in your final year, or what should be your final year. You work in your industry. So I actually worked as a junior software developer for a year before going back to my final year. And I gained a lot of experience from that. That actually made me realize that I don't want to be a software developer. And then I went into consulting. On occasion, I freelance, I make websites. So you would have seen that I actually make websites. I made my friend's fashion website. I also part coded my own fashion blog. So that ties into what Auntie was saying about your personal brand. I actually kind of combined two of my favorite things, which is tech and fashion. And I made a fashion brand, a fashion blog, sorry. And when I was applying for uni, that was actually a link on my personal statement. So I think that got me a lot of traction when applying for university, because people were very interested to see how I had done that. So yeah, I freelance. And then outside of work, as I said, I love fashion. And I have my own podcast called It's Techie Pod, where we discuss navigating adulthood. But in terms of what I do now, as I said, I'm a technical consultant, and I specialize in Microsoft Office 365. And that is because the company I work for is a Microsoft Gold partner. And that basically means that Microsoft recognize that we consistently produce business solutions for our clients using Microsoft products such as SharePoint Online for different intranets, or Power BI, or Power Platforms, which is basically a way of making apps, but with Microsoft products. But my job in particular is quite varied. Even though I am a technical consultant, I still do quite a lot of business stuff as well. And I think consultancy is a great blend between tech and business, because you can do both and then specialize once you kind of know what it is that you like to do. So at first, when I first started working, I was a mixture of business and client facing. So I would gather requirements. For example, when clients like BAT would come to us, they said they wanted to build an app so they could gather information on security risks that happen within their business. So my job at the time was to gather the requirements, what it is that they want, how they want the screens to look. So I did a bit of UX UI as well. And then I would take that business requirements document and give it to the developers, and then they would develop the final product, and I would just kind of oversee it. But now that I've kind of moved into the more technical side of things, I can either be on the business side of the team where I just gather requirements, or I can also be the person helping to build the solution. So some of the products I've worked for, or projects I've worked on, sorry, is the one showing on the screen now, which is the app that we built for British American Tobacco, so they could monitor security incidents that happen in their business. I also now specialize in Microsoft Power BI. So that's kind of building dashboards of data. It's basically kind of like a database and visualizing data really nicely. So that's what I do. Different clients that I've worked for include Vodafone, British American Tobacco, Neo Energy, TfL, Frasers, Diageo. I saw Auntie Lola also worked for Diageo at some point, Philip Morris International, and Burberry. So a good thing about working as a consultant is that you can work on different projects at a time. So currently I'm actually working on about 6 different projects. My role in each of them is very different. So for some of them, I'm just gathering the requirements, but then some of them I'm actually building the dashboard. So that dashboard that you can see on the screen is actually something that I'm building now. And then the app is just an extension of that project. So very varied, and you can work with a lot of clients, and it's really good for building up your CV in terms of moving on to your next phase. You can, say that you've worked for all these different companies. So the next slide, please. So in terms of how to become a consultant, as I said, I actually did computer science at uni, and I did a year in industry. So I worked as a junior software developer for a year. I realized that I didn't like that, because I would come into work and it was always the same. Just, you'd have your daily meeting, all of the bugs would be assigned to you, and then you'd fix those bugs, and then you come in and it's exactly the same thing. And I didn't really enjoy that. So I think that's a good thing about doing a placement or a year in industry or an internship, is that you kind of get an idea of what you do and don't like before you start actually working in it as a career for the rest of your life, because there's nothing worse than being stuck in a role that you don't like or that you don't enjoy. So as I said, you can do industry placement or, you know, take a course. And there's several different routes into becoming a consultant. Business studies, computer science, I think maths was also mentioned previously by our speakers. And you don't have to just specialize. So I'm very broad, and then I decided to specialize into the technical side of things because that's what I enjoy more. But I do work with other consultants that didn't do computer science, they did business studies and economics, or they just have a mathematics degree. And here we are all working as consultants. So don't feel discouraged if you haven't done computing, or if you haven't done business, or if you're, you know, not math savvy, because I myself wasn't math savvy. I didn't really enjoy mathematics, but somehow I managed to graduate with a first class. So, you know, it's very possible. Don't feel as though you have to kind of do these certain things. Keep your options broad, especially when you're in doing A-levels. So I did French, business studies, and computing for my A-levels, and I think psychology AS. And I did that intentionally because I still at the time didn't actually know what I wanted to do. So I kept my options broad, I kept my options open, so that when it came to deciding, I kind of, okay, I could go down the business route, I could go down the consultancy route or the tech route, and then just through French in for whatever reason. So yeah, keep your options open. Different courses that you can take. Microsoft offers really good online courses. And so does Coursera and Udemy. You can literally just buy a course for like £10 online. Some of them you can actually apply for free. So I'm currently taking a Google data analytics course, which I actually applied for and got it for free. So I didn't have to pay for it. In the past, in terms of like starting my podcast, I actually bought a course on Udemy. So I think for like £20 to kind of teach me how to, you know, edit audio and stuff like that. So literally online is your best friend. You can always find information or different courses online. And in terms of consultancy specifically, you don't have to be technical. There's many different roles that kind of fall under that umbrella. You can be a project manager, so you oversee the projects from start to end and just make sure that everyone's doing what they need to do. You can be a data analyst, which is kind of what I'm trying to specialize in now. So I'm working specifically with data, dashboards, and software and databases. Or you can be a software developer, so you'd be part of the team that actually creates the apps or creates, you know, the websites and stuff like that. So don't feel as though you have to specialize in one thing, because you can kind of do it all. And the good thing about working as a consultant, I think Tofumi mentioned this as well, you can jump around and you can work on different projects. And if you find something that you enjoy and that sticks, then you can kind of stay on that route. And it's good for trying different things out. If you're someone that doesn't like to do the same thing a lot or be in a repetitive job, jumping from different projects or different clients. One week you could be working on TfL, the next you could be working with Vodafone or Burberry. So I think that's another good thing about working as a consultant. But I think that is the end of my slide. I think next slide, I think I might have one more slide. On to next slide.
I believe, I think that's
Okay,
I think that's the end of it. Yeah. Thank you. Lola, I'm just going to leave this to Lola to to respond to. Okay. Maybe Lola, maybe there's a little bit of techie stuff going on there. But thank you so much, Kose. Thank you. It's been really, really beautiful listening to you. And I like the tweak that, you know, you're in between. Not only are you into technical consultancy, you're also doing your own fashion business alongside, yeah, which is useful to know, so that if you have other people on call as well that are yeah, on the same boat, they're thinking, oh, can I try these two things out? Yeah, it's just for them to understand that, yeah, this is possible. So thank you. Please don't go away. And guys, if you've got question for Kosei, put it in the chat, but I'm looking at that chat box, is empty. They're not asking questions. Maybe they want to ask directly. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so moving on to the next speaker. This young man, he graduated from University of Bath with bachelor's in architecture and master's at University of Westminster. Hey. He's currently taking professional qualifications while working. I like that. So continuous development is very, very key. And what happened to where is Shopper's slide? It's just gone away. Can that be put up again, please? Thank you very much. So he's currently working. He's into interior design as well. I think architecture and interior design, they're kind of going hand in hand. His current work is focused on retirement housing and its role in reviving high street through mixed-use projects. I'm quite interested. I'd like to know more about that. And just like you said, he's an architect. He's probably into more into what's going on in our environment. So it's not surprising to me to know that he believes that given the rising importance of sustainability and climate change, everyone needs to pay attention to their built environment. I think that is very, very important. So everyone, please welcome Shopper Bob Shoile. He's an architect. Over to you, Shopper.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Auntie, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you everyone for taking time out of your Saturday afternoon to listen to us and I suppose start preparing for your career. So thank you for being here. I just sort of start off by, I suppose, really sort of telling you who I am. My name is Shopper. I grew up in Nigeria. Studied A levels, maths, physics, design, technology, and economics. And I think at this point, I sort of like to reiterate what's been said earlier, what Auntie said earlier about drive and determination, and sometimes, you know, rejection and all of the things that I think that's been repeated. Because I think part of my story was that when I first decided to study, well, I'd always wanted to be an architect for as long as I can remember, because you know, I think growing up, I watched a family house get built, and you know, that sort of inspired me for some reason just to, you know, to want to become an architect. And I'd never really, you know, taken any art subjects or design subjects up until, you know, when I got up into A levels, and everyone's like, oh, you know, what subjects are you picking? And I'm sure a lot of you at that stage, you know, GCSEs, A levels, you're thinking about what subject or what career path you want to go into, and you know, you're having sort of pick what you're good at and you know what you like. I remember for me, I'd never done art or design, and you know, a lot of questions around like, oh, you know, how do you think you can study architecture without having done any of this? And it was just something I wanted to do. So you know, I made the extra time and the extra effort to, you know, pick up design as a new subject, and in my extra time, you know, take art lessons and photography classes. And I think that really helped me, because you know, it's quite hard to get into architecture without any of the two. And then, yeah, then I went into the University of Bath, where I studied architecture. And I think one of the reasons why I went there, I suppose, again, not to sound like a broken record, what's been repeated, is because there was an emphasis on sort of learning in practice. So internships, as I think everyone has been saying, but in Bath is sort of where it was done in a way where you studied for a semester and you worked for another semester. So, you know, getting that on the job experience, learning on the job. I noticed it was a sort of an opportunity to sort of, you know, test the waters and see what you liked, what you didn't like. And for me, I really wanted to, you know, I knew I wanted to do architecture, but architecture is such a wide and broad field. There's so many things in it that for me was an opportunity to try out something else. So I went into interior design for for one of my first internships. It wasn't my first one, but it was maybe actually it was my third one. But you know, it was my first one in something else, architecture, and it was good experience. It exposed me to a, you know, different side of this, and I suppose it's a first step to becoming a professional working. And you know, when you point your CV that you've worked somewhere else, you know, that's in a way vouches for your professionalism, and they don't, you know, wouldn't be a question that would be brought up in an interview, because they've seen this guy's work somewhere and, you know, they trust him. So, you know, it goes a long way, internships. And yeah, and then went back to Bath. I did a year out, so again in architecture, traveling, gaining different experiences. It's a privilege, obviously, but if it's something you have the opportunity to do, then I highly recommend taking it, because it's one of these, I suppose it's a creative field. It is a creative field where, you know, the experiences you accumulate throughout your life become part of your creative process, or contribute significantly to how you approach design problems and design thinking. And then, yeah, then I graduated from Bath, and yeah, applied for a lot of jobs. I think rejection is something that's been talked about quite a few times. But you know, I think it's one of these things when you're applying for jobs and internships. You know, people always they always say, you know, you need to have some experience before you apply for a job. But you know, to get the experience, everyone's saying you've got to have a job. So it's a funny catch-22, but I think getting your foot on the ladder, as a lot of people have said, helps. Yeah, and then I started working for PRP Architects. They, you know, I work with the retirement leaving team, and yeah, quite a lot of what we do is to do with social housing, housing the elderly in particular, in sort of care homes, extra care housing with support. And I think one of my key focuses, or my areas of specialism in the last few years has been, you know, looking at the high street, you know, which has been, I don't know about you, but around here, a lot of the shops, especially during the pandemic, have been closing down or shut down because of, you know, lack of interest, lack of footfall, because everyone's been at home. And, you know, what we do is sort of looking at how, you know, elderly people can be, well, surprisingly, can be a way of sort of rejuvenating this places that seem to be forgotten and no one seems interested in. But that's my story. That's sort of how I got to where I am. And I suppose maybe now I'll talk a bit more about architecture in general, and I suppose how to become an architect. I'm not an architect yet. Architecture is quite a long journey to sort of to get through. I think at the minimum it takes 7 years, and I'm currently on year 9, just because of the extra years I've taken out. But hopefully by the end of the year I'll have qualified as an architect. Yeah, so to become an architect, you need, it's sort of done in 3 phases. Your bachelor's, which is, you know, 3 years or 4 years undergraduate course, a master's course, which is 2 years, and you know, a year in practice, studying and working, which is what I'm currently doing at the moment. So it's almost as long as takes almost as long as being a doctor, but it's immensely rewarding, I think, contributing to the spaces people live, and especially I think for me, you know, having gone through that process personally, I find it, I suppose I enjoy it, and hence the career in architecture. On my day-to-day job, you know, I think everyone sees architecture as a, you know, very creative process, but in a day-to-day job, it's not creative, but it's a lot more like other jobs. There's a lot of coordination. There's a lot of drawing and designing, yes, but a lot of coordination, which is sort of coordinating or speaking to different team members, making sure everyone has what they need. Sounds very administrative, but that is, I think, the core of what I do. You know, checking that, you know, everyone is on the same page in terms of the design, and moving forward, we're all sort of moving together, so making sure no one gets left behind, and everyone, the client, and managing expectations, managing the realities. So that's part of my day-to-day role. To become an architect, I think we've heard this in other fields, and I think in generally, to become a professional, problem solving is a very, very key. It's a key thing, and I think in architecture it's more about spatial problem solving. Thinking in 3 dimensions, approaching problems from different angles, and no one likes to hear about problems. Everyone likes to hear about solutions. So I think the ability to work independently and come up with solutions by yourself, which might sound daunting as an 18-year-old going into your first job, but it's it's a trait. I think all professions, regardless whether it's filmmaking, software development, technological consulting, or consultancy in general, problem solving, goes a long way. So independent thinking, being able to come solutions by yourself, goes a long way. In terms of the future of architecture, there's a lot of talk about technology and what how that influences the built environment. And I know there was an article, or there was a talk between a couple of friends and I a couple of years ago, talking about robots taking over jobs, and people were saying, oh, architecture is a safe job because it deals with the human sides of things. But there's an increase in role of technology. So I think from the way we design, I think being able to draw with hand is encouraged, especially in university. You would get that a lot, being able to make models with your hands and think physically. But when you get into practice, I think just for the sake of efficiency, there's an increasing reliance on stuff like BIM technology, artificial reality, virtual reality, in terms of communicating design and selling design. I think it's quite important. And I think the thing about it, it's every year there's a new technology, so you sort of have to keep learning yourself, keep in touch with the latest technology, and yeah. In terms of what else I do, I think what I've been doing recently, as I said, looking at the high street, I think some of my most recent projects, normally to do with planning. So, you just develop the concept design, you talk with the client, you present to planners. Presentation, I think being able to present and write reports are one of the parts of architecture that don't get mentioned a lot, but it's something that you do a lot. Like, for example, the last 2 weeks, we're writing reports about technical designs, and it's not as glamorous as it sounds, but they're quite fundamental to what we do. And yeah, I think that's all I've got, and hopefully that's been useful. If you've got any questions, I think there's a Q&A session after, and I think we'll be able to help you out. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Shokwe. Yeah, you mentioned that report writing, presentation, that is very key, I think, especially if you want to, I don't know, bidding and stuff, you want to pitch a particular project to clients. Yeah, you've got to you've got to have that skill to be able to present, carry people along, and so that they can be on the same page as yourself. So thank you so much to all our speakers. We're going on to Q&A. We're going to take a break, but I think we're running behind. So we would take a break, sorry. We would just jump ahead onto our Q&A session. So if you have, thank you. If you have any question, please could you raise your hand, indicate by raising your hand up if you have a question for our panel, our speakers. Yeah, if you have a question, please feel free there's no wrong or right. If there's anything on your mind that you like to ask, please do so. Feel free to ask that question. I've got quite a number of you on this meeting at the moment. So feel free to raise your hand and then we'll unmute you so you can actually speak and ask them the question that you want. Okay, I'll give you some time, but while we're getting ourselves ready, I would ask Lola. I think Lola, do you have a question? Do you want to ask?
No, I don't have any question.
Okay. For me, I've heard a lot around. Firstly, for people in technology. And this goes for Kose, Baba, Tofumi, talking about software engineering, its adaptability. Could you, where do you see software engineering? I know it's a bit obvious, but do you foresee something overtaking software engineering in the future? Or do you foresee a new role even within software engineering itself, that it's currently, maybe it's a bit quiet, it's like a dark horse, it's likely to become popular in the future, that you might want to ask people to start maybe thinking about it if they're that inclined. Can I ask Baba if Baba is on call?
Yeah, so I think it's quite hard to predict the future. I think you can only learn and adapt as you go. I think software engineering, I think working in the industry, I think is still going to be with us for a while. I think it is. I mean, like even the other day I saw this product designed by this company called GitHub, called GitHub Assistant, where they use artificial intelligence to sort of write code as well for you. So like even software engineering isn't invincible from like the changes in software engineering itself. So like people talk a lot about robots and computers taking the jobs. So that also includes software engineering. So I think the important thing is like being adaptable. I still think there'll always be roles for like people who have, like, I think like you said, the drive, the willingness to learn. And I think it gives you, I think with software engineering, you sort of have the, what's the word? A skill set that you can sort of use and apply in like different sort of areas, is what I believe. But as for the different roles, I think there's a lot of exciting things going on in software engineering that will like happen in the future. I can give some examples, but I don't know too much of them. There's all the stuff with crypto, there's artificial intelligence, there's like biomedicine, and there is like a lot of this will be linked with like other industries. But I think with software, I think it's quite broad to start with. So, but I think there'll always be sort of a role for like software engineers. But I think what that role is going to change as like we get more and more new technologies and like more sort of powerful sort of software.
Thank you very much, Baba, for that. I think there's a question in the box for Shokwe, and it says, would you, this is from Angela now asking, so would you recommend taking an art foundation course before doing architecture at university?
It's not uncommon to find a lot of people who've taken that route, but yes, I think it helps. I think suppose it depends on what skills you have already. If you've done art in A level, GCSE level before, that helps. For some people, the people I know who've taken art foundation courses, it was sort of get into that mind or the artistical way of, more creative way of thinking, and more creative way to approach subjects. Because I don't know about you, but like when I was in school, you know, especially like GCSE level, or whatever it's called these days, you know, there was always a right answer to a question, whereas in the more creative subjects, it's you know, it's less obvious. There's no one right answer. There's no, you know, so yeah, an art foundation course will help prepare you for that. Obviously, it's it's a year longer, but it helps. I think in terms of preparing the mind, the way you approach things. But I suppose one of the other things I didn't talk about was there's also apprenticeships. It's quite new in architecture. I think Tofumi touched about where you essentially get paid to work, and that's also a longer route to qualify for architecture. So yes, about my rambling, yes, I would recommend taking our foundation course. It's not necessary, but it depends on what skills you have already. I didn't take one, but I know quite a few people who did. It also gives you an extra year of maturity, I think, before you start university. So, yeah. Hope that answers the question. Let me know.
Okay, thank you, Shokpe. Thank you for that. I've another question I've got, and this will be for Bankole. You mentioned that the importance of you talked about rejection. Could you elaborate about, because I know there might be young people online that might face that in the future as well. How did you deal with it? Because this is coming from a lawyer into art, and you had other things yourself that you were dealing with. Am I, is this good enough? Can I do this? Can I actually go into this? Do I have the enough experience for it? How did you cope with that? How did you balance, and how did you break through? I know you're still on your journey, but how did you even have that boldness to actually go forward in that area?
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself even when it doesn't make sense too, because no one else will. You can't rely on someone else to give you that kind of encouragement. And like I said earlier, you have to have that drive and that passion to believe that what you're doing is what you want to do. And if you have it, if you believe that's what you want to do, and you believe that you have the ability, or you can learn, or you're ready to learn, then I think you would always be able to push yourself. I'm not my biggest fan, or rather my biggest cheerleader. I'm very easy to say, well, this is wrong, and I believe I should have done this better, or whatever. But I think you need to be able to say, okay, look, I didn't get this, and there's no one else in my corner, because it's a personal journey, and you have to be ready to push yourself and say, well, I didn't get this, well, I'll go for the next one, and if I don't get that one, I'll go for the next one, and eventually I'll get one. And in the meantime, I'm working on myself, I'm getting better, I'm finding out why I didn't get that last one and trying to improve. So I think it's long story short, the answer is two things. You have to believe in yourself substantially, and you have to have the drive to continue and the passion to continue. Otherwise, the rejections will, and again, I guess you have to expect it. You have to expect that the rejections are going to come. Otherwise, they could just cut you off at the knees, and you don't know what to do next. So if you expect it's going to come, do not take it to be pessimistic. I don't want you to go in with any negative mind, but people get rejected. Everyone gets rejected. So you know it's going to come. You have to believe in yourself that maybe you didn't get it for a particular reason. You didn't lose it because you're bad or you're terrible. You lost it because maybe someone else had one thing that you didn't have. So you go find out what that thing is, or have an idea, and then improve yourself in it. So it's a state of constant improvement. You're on mute, sorry.
Oh, thank you very much. To realize that, thank you. Now this one is for Kose. And Kose, I know you are into, you have your own fashion business or interest alongside what you do. Would you say that because that has been easy for you because you are into technology, you're a technical consultant, so your interest in technology has made it easier for you to move your fashion business? And if that's the case, what would you advise what would your advice be for those on call that are also thinking of doing something similar? They want to work day to day as well, pursue their interest alongside. What do you think? What would your advice be in terms of how best to join, how best to pursue those two areas together?
I would first of all, I'd start off by saying that just because you're in tech, it doesn't mean that you kind of disregard all of your other interests. So for me, it was really important to kind of merge the two. Tech in itself is a very male-dominated field anyway. I remember being in uni and being one of like 13 girls on my course. So out of 250. So yeah, I think it's important to kind of blend your interests. And if you are interested in something, 9 out of 10 times tech will kind of be, you can link it to it anyway. For example, if you're into fashion, you know, we all shop on fashion websites, and how else is the website built? Is via tech. So I think you can always try and like blend your two. And I think that is definitely what helped to progress, you know, my blog and what I do and my podcast, because I have the knowledge. But obviously when I started, I didn't. And it's always good to kind of just go out there and learn for yourself and learn how you can, you know, merge the two. In terms of like websites, even though I had coding background, there are like blogging websites like WordPress or Blogger that kind of make the template for you, and then you can kind of tweak it a bit. So you can learn that way, kind of just learn as you go, and then as you get better and better, then you can start building like the entire thing yourself. But I do think the knowledge of tech has definitely helped. And in terms of what would I suggest or recommend for anyone in my position that also is trying to do the same thing, definitely look out for similar websites like WordPress or Blogger that can allow you to kind of start off with the basics and then build your confidence, because it's all about, you know, trial and error. And if it doesn't work, then you can just, you know, reset, go back to the beginning and start again. So yeah, that's my advice.
Thank you very much, Kelsey. And you've answered one of my questions. I was going to say, girls on call that are into technology or engineering, please don't be afraid. Please move forward. I am a member of Women in Technology myself, and I understand what Kelsey is saying. I'm surrounded by, sometimes it's in a group, probably 1 or 2 women, but we're beginning to see more women in that role. So yeah, we're looking for more girls that wants to go into technology and engineering. So go for it. And also, please don't, it's not too early to have a LinkedIn page. You can open it, look at other people in that area that you want to pursue, see what their profile is like that you like, and try and see if you can mirror that as well. I'm not saying say what you can't do, but look at the way they've structured theirs, and you know, just try, start somewhere. Yeah. So thank you, as speakers. Before you go, I'm just going to ask you one more question, each of you, and I'll call you one by one to just tell us. You've mentioned a lot of key skills around presentation. You've got to have problem-solving skills. You've got to be able to think independently, continuous development. You've got to be on top of your area in order to thrive in your career. What other skills would you advise young people on call to start thinking of and develop, be it a course or a skill? What would you recommend? Let me start with Shokwe.
I wouldn't say it's skill per se. I think what I would say it's how to get how to use distraction as a useful skill, because I think a lot of what we do sometimes so, you know, we get tunnel vision. We say, okay, I'm going to be an architect, I'm going to study architecture. You know, you just get tunnel vision. You don't see or hear anything else. But I think the ability to sort of be distracted, sort of get pulled into all the fields that might, you know, then sort of in turn re-inspire your journey. So I think the ability to sort of be distracted purposefully, I think that's what I would call it. So it's not so much as, you know, focus, but I think sometimes we call it cross-pollination, so be inspired by other areas that are outside your field of expertise, and use that creatively to sort of drive you forward. So I think that would be my being distracted purposefully.
Thank you. Can I ask for Baba? One skill that you would add?
One skill, I guess it's a bit meta, but would be the ability to sort of like learn new skills. I think for something like software, I think in fact, like most jobs, like, and with the world we live in now, it's very fast paced, it's changing a lot. So I think that ability to learn new skills is really important. I know it's very easy it's something I'm still learning, and I think it's something that's really useful, because I know it's quite easy to get comfortable with what you know and say, oh, I already know this, I'm just going to stick with this. And I know when you start new skills, you're not normally good when you start with new skills, and it's easy to get like discouraged because like you're not good at it. But that ability to sort of like pick up new skills and stick through that initial learning phase where it gets very difficult, that ability to stick through that for like different skills, it doesn't matter what the skill is, but that just ability, I think it bodes well for like a lot of careers, and software engineering in particular. Yeah.
Thank you. And Bankole?
It's going to be a variation of something I touched on earlier in my talk, and I think it goes back to curiosity. But earlier I spoke about being curious about the film industry, but I think you need to be curious about life and other people's lives, because your job as a filmmaker, an actor, a writer is to honestly represent other people's perspectives and lives. So you need to be willing to leave your box and find out what other people think, how other people's lives are, so you can honestly represent them when the time comes. So you need to be willing to hear other people's point of view and learn other people's lives and just what makes them tick, so you can honestly represent them. So be curious about other people's lives.
Thank you very much. And Kose?
I would say there's two key skills for me, which are people and writing skills. I think people tend to kind of forget about them when you work in tech because, oh, I'm good at code or I'm good at whatnot. But I think you still need to know how to write like reports. You need to annotate your code. You need to be able to present your work to other people and explain what you've done. And I think if you can't articulate yourself well, that can be an issue, or it can be seen as you're not part of the team or you're not a team player because you don't really socialize. So I think knowing how to be around other people, communicate with other people, and then writing skills as well. So being able to like write business requirements documents or annotating your code or stuff like that, I think are important, but very overlooked. So people and writing skills, I'd say.
Thank you very, very much. Please, guys on call, if you've had an amazing that you think you've learned a lot, please just encourage our speakers by thanking them with your words in that chat box. Thank you so much, guys. I've had an insightful time with you, enlightened as well. We're going to move on quickly. We're rounding up now, but before we round up, we have one more video around driving lessons to look at. And that, if I can ask Lola, I think Lola's got the video, just for you to watch quickly.
I'm just going to share the video now.
At the same time, on the same day, at the same test centre. Both had used the same driving instructor, and both were feeling nervous. 40 minutes later, they'd both completed their tests. They asked each other how it had gone. "I failed," said Alex. "Me too," said Chris. "Well, that's it," said Alex. "It's public transport for me from now on. I can't be bothered to go through all that again. I would have passed if it wasn't for a broken down lorry and having to do the 3-point turn with everyone looking. I knew that was a weakness, and sure enough, I had to do it. I'm always unlucky like that. I reversed round the corner okay, well, nearly, and the emergency stop went quite well. That bloody lorry. Chris said, yeah, I came across the same lorry and took me ages to turn around. Someone even hooted me, and that didn't help. Although afterwards the examiner said that whilst he had to fail me on that alone, there were several other things I was poor at. Truth is, I didn't put in enough practice. There's no point blaming the lorry driver, or the guy that hooted me, or the examiner. I don't want to rely on public transport. I want the freedom of driving myself. I'm going to practice and practice until I get it right every time, and then some more. 3 months later, guess who passed their test and who was still having to catch the bus? Guess who passed their exams with the grades they needed to earn a place at their first choice university, and who had to do retakes a year later? Guess who achieved a 2-1 degree and a choice of job offers from top employers? And guess who eventually got into a mediocre university, partied too much, and dropped out halfway through the course? You see, those people who take full personal responsibility for their own success and who make short-term sacrifices for long-term gains are the people who are more successful in business and in life. Those that don't end up working for those who do. So whatever situation you're in, or whatever you want in life, don't complain about how unlucky you are, or how your upbringing, or your health, or your education, or how they have stopped you. Instead, take full personal responsibility and use the mantra, if it's to be, it's up to me. Vic's Fascinating Fables, stories to make you think. Brought to you by Vic, your virtual interactive coach.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that, Lola. Do you want to say a word or two?
Okay, so I just want to say thank you very much to every single one who's attended the session today. I want to say thank you to all the speakers. And I think on a final note from me, from the session today and from the video clip, I mean, we've got, every single one of the speakers, they've invested their time, they've shared their experiences, they've shared their knowledge with you. So you've got a pack of knowledge and experiences and skills to take away with you. So all I can say to you today is you need to take full responsibility for your own success. And the mantra that I want you to have at the back of your mind all the time is, if it's to be, it's up to me. All the best to every single one of you. I wish you well. I wish you all success in your career. And I think it's safe to say goodbye to everyone, and back to you, Titi.
Thank you. I was going to say, oh, don't go away. No goodbye yet. No goodbye yet. Thank you so much. Yes, we said it all, guys. If it's to be, it's up to you. You are the captain of your ship, your boat. No one can steer that ship for you the way you would do it. We've learned a lot: resilience, continuous development, can-do attitude, confidence to step forward. And, you don't have to be stuck in a role that you don't like. Being able to break out and take that boldness to move on to what you enjoy, and be ready to work hard and continue to learn more and more and more. Before we go, I'd just like to mention an event that we've got upcoming, if I can have that slide. And it's called the True Little Hero Awards. We've been running this event since 2014. This will be our 7th year. And I mentioned earlier on, this particular event is to reward young people all over the world, especially in the UK, of course, and all over the world, that are doing, that they're making remarkable contributions to the society in different area, music, whatever, technology, because we saw a lot of technology last year. It was really beautiful to see young people that are really, really doing something in that area. So the event is going to open up on the 1st of August. That's when nomination is going to start. Please go to our website, www.truelytohero.com, and go and nominate. Nominate yourself or a friend or your sister, brother, you know, daughter, whoever. Just nominate them. Let's celebrate them. The celebration itself is going to be in November. That's 13th of November. So watch out for it. 1st of August, don't forget, go to our website, submit your nomination. On behalf of the entire Cause for Children Limited, I'd like to thank all of you for staying tuned. I know when we started, we were more than this, but along the line, people started to drop off, and I do understand. Yeah, I want to thank all our speakers for coming out to share your experience and for empowering other youth to also thrive. May I ask you to please go to slido.com and fill in the survey for us. We really do need your contributions in that area. So please, we need that. Please fill in that. Just tell us your experience of today, because yeah, we need to be able to share that with others, and also use your feedback to inform our future events. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, we'll see you next year when we embark on another Young Career Planners 2022, and we've got lots of interesting roles speakers that will come and talk about their roles. So tell your friends about it if you've learned so much from this event. Thank you once again. Please don't forget, please fill the survey. You might receive an email from us with some other things for you to fill. Please just take 1 minute and do that for us. Thank you, and bye. Bye for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.